Hey, what's going on, guys? KingSithis here, back at it with another live stream.
WSG, bro.
What's going on, man? What's going on, Prax Germany? It's good to see ya. Still praxing it up? That's very good.
Good to see ya too.
Very good. Good. Alright. Back to World of Warcraft. There are a lot of dungeons. Alright, let's run one. How you guys doing? My day has been...
It's like almost 4 a.m.
It's 4 a.m. for you? Oh, shit. It's pretty early. I mean, pretty late for me. But not that late. It's only like, it's like 9:30 for me.
KingSithis is now live streaming World of Warcraft. Debate and Ancap live.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, ha ha ha. I don't know why I'm still awake, lol.
Go to bed, you fucker. Alright, so I need to kill some gorillas. I could never trust the state. What kind of person trusts this, the government? Disgusting. These graphics, am I right? World of Warcraft classic graphics. Oof. That could have ended really bad. Hello.
Hey dude, love your
you are
vibes.
fast, dude.
Add me on Discord
Hello,
so
how
that
you
I
doing?
can join your next stream username, Clara Elegant.
Huh?
Say hello, how you doing?
I'm doing very good. And yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm doing amazing, brother. Doing amazing. So what's your take?
I'm an Ancap. You?
What?
I'm an Ancap.
Ancap. What is Ancap?
An Ancap is a person who believes that the state should be completely abolished and that we should have a complete free market.
So when you're talking about the states, we're talking about United States or any state? All the states?
Every state. All states.
Yeah, I think we tried that in the past. We moved on that. You know, it sounds like old news. Like saying Britney Spears is an amazing singer. Like, we passed those times, dude.
What?
I say it sounds like old news. We tried that in the past.
We tried what in the past? Abolishing the state?
No states. We only tribal people.
Yeah, but those people weren't Ancap. They were something else.
Yeah, they were tribal people, you know, ooh gaga, all this stuff.
Yeah,
Okay,
when I say
so-
completely abolish, I mean like get rid of it. Like no more state. No more state.
Okay.
And have all the functions of the state completely replaced by some sort of private company whom you could pay to provide those services. And you could choose to buy it or not buy it. You know, it's all consensual.
Okay, but how enforced law enforcement and stuff like this?
Private security. Minarchism is dumb.
So who decides what the law? Like every private security has their own law?
Every private security, we believe in, us libertarians believe in the non-aggression principle, and that would be law.
What is the non-aggression principle?
One does not have the right to initiate an aggression.
Yeah, but we need to be a little realistic. Like, it will work in simulation when you keep this rule and the computer will exactly listen to you, but in IRL, I don't know, dude. I don't think it will be valid in real life. People are
It could if we believe in it.
Definitely.
It could if we believe in it. Hello.
Hey, dude. Yeah, but again, you have so many cultures, so many people. Sometimes people just get to crazy rage or some rage from random rage. You know, you see your girlfriend cheating, someone stealing from you, stuff like this. So you get angry.
Well, that's why we have police.
Yeah, but like, how all those organizations going to listen to the same
I always
rules?
call the police when somebody's cheating on me.
Well, I mean, not
Really?
when you're cheating, but no,
Right,
if
you
somebody
shoot your
attack,
wife
if that
and
person
her
attacks
boyfriend.
somebody.
I
if
know
they're-
what you meant, man. I'm
Yeah.
just teasing you.
Yes, this is Turtle Wow. All right.
I don't know.
Your arguments
You
are
think
making
it's
my
like-
brain hurt. What?
You're thinking about Good Samaritan, but it's not really work like this in real life. People get mad and they get sometimes aggressive, dude.
Well, that's why we have police, right?
Yeah, but as if you have like a lot of different police and no state at all. So which law and how you decide what the law, you know?
The non-aggression
okay.
principle.
Yeah, again, but we both agree it's not realistic.
I don't agree with
Okay. You think it can really just stop to be aggressive? It's something in our DNA from the dawn of man. Like it's dude.
that. Most people are. I would say most people are not aggressive. Most of the time.
Only most of people are in third world country. You think about most people you know that are Western, but we're talking globally.
I mean, I would
So
say most people even in third world countries aren't going around being aggressive.
I don't know, dude. There is a lot of countries. If your wife cheats on you, you can kill her on the spot. I don't know, dude.
Well, then okay, yeah, I get. Yes, there are places in the world where people are crazy and they kill people, right? But we could change
I would
that.
not say
We
crazy,
gotta put things in place to prevent that, right?
Well, if you really want to enforce it, it's kind of, it's kind of funny because it's oxymoron. You need to kill shitload of people for enforce it.
I mean, if somebody
But
kills somebody,
shitload.
then yeah.
Yeah, but not only killing. Okay, in a lot of states, that if you stole something, they cut your hand. So
Well, I
we
wouldn't.
need-
I think that might be a little bit too much. I would say maybe somebody steals you something, you take it back, and with some extra money.
And if he don't have the money, how he can pay you? Jail time? He going to resist you? It's aggression. He
Jail
going to be
time.
aggressive.
Jail time. Garnish their wages. There's plenty of ways you could deal with that.
So if you take them to a jail time, they're going to be aggressive to you. So you can be aggressive to them. So it's already breaking the not aggressive law. So only the oppressed,
Wait,
not oppressed. Only,
oh my
only the
god,
aggressive can be aggressive.
you're making my fucking brain hurt with how stupid this question is. Oh my god.
Wait a second. I don't really favorite of your idea too, but let's try to make it a
Listen
fun
to me.
discussion. Let's try to think
And
about it
if
deeply.
somebody attacks you, right, and you stop them from attacking you, you're not being aggressive. You're just retaliating against that person. That's not an aggression.
But it's not attack. If someone try to steal money from your wallet, it's not attacking you. It's not aggressive. Or I thought we were talking about physical aggressive. Or we're talking about any kind of breaking law. We just need to assume that nobody would break the law.
What? What are you even asking me, dude? I don't even know what you're asking me.
How can you enforce that no one would be aggressive?
Law enforcement.
How can you enforce it?
Law enforcement. That's how.
And the law enforcement to which
like
law
every
is
other
going
country.
to listen?
The non-aggression
country.
principle. And Capistan.
You know what, dude? Good luck.
Thank you.
I wish you good luck with this idea.
I wish you good luck too. Alright.
If you've been aggressive right earlier when you said I'm stupid. So
I didn't say you're
what's supposed to
stupid.
happen to-
I said that your question is stupid.
Okay, it's kind of aggressive too. So you can say you
It's
don't
not
like my person,
aggressive.
but it's stupid.
I'm not hard. I'm not
Not
hurting you.
aggressive.
In any way, I'm
so-
not taking anything from you.
So people can speak to other people in any way they can. It's not aggressive.
Yeah. I mean, as long as I'm not threatening you in any way. I'm not like saying I'm gonna do anything to you. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna go to your house and harm you in any way. I don't even know you.
Even racist stuff, homophobic stuff, all this crazy stuff. It's not aggressive.
I don't support. I don't support laws that ban speech. Yeah, I support free speech.
Okay.
Why do you think we should ban speech?
I think the whole idea is kind of wild because it's going on. The idea that humans can stop being aggressive for no specific reason. So,
I mean, we
don't know.
should stop people from being aggressive to other people, right? Like,
Yeah, I agree with you, and because this we have a state and a law, but then you say we need to have laws because people will stop to be aggressive. So it's kind of the chicken and the egg.
I don't even know what you're asking me, bro. All right,
Yeah, I guess.
anti-cannabis, you're up. What's up?
What's up?
All right, you're up. What's up? Any arguments, questions?
Oh, are you streaming?
Yes.
To who?
Oh, because this
The
you have
internet.
like the
How many people are watching?
I don't know.
6,000.
Check.
No.
Okay.
So, what do you got?
Well, I'm just anti-cannabis.
Why is that?
I don't like it.
What do you mean anti-cannabis? Like, you don't think people should do it, or do you think like it should be banned?
I just think that it shouldn't be like something that it shouldn't be used. It should just be used medically. That's it.
So, like, you're okay with it being like medical use, but like recreationally, you think like, nah, people shouldn't do it recreationally.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I don't even think they do it. It's like a religion. Like, it's a cult. They just follow a ritual. Like, historically, no one, historically, like, anthropologically, no one went out of their way to get high on weed. And if they did, it wasn't for recreational purposes. It was for very pragmatic purposes, like spiritual connection, or, again, medical.
Well, personally, I believe all drugs should be legal, recreationally and medically.
Legal?
Mhm.
Okay, well, I mean, anything can kill you, so...
Fundamentally, I think that your body is yours. It belongs to you, and that means that you have the right to put into it whatever you want, so long as you aren't initiating an aggression against any other innocent person.
That's pretty naive and cliche.
How
More
is-
complex than that.
I mean, if
I
I'm
think
not hurting
the
anybody,
decision- How do you know that? The decisions you make about your body can absolutely have externalities on society.
I mean, taking marijuana, if I'm in my house and I'm smoking weed on my own property, I mean, who am I hurting by doing that?
No, so why are you doing that is my question.
Does it matter?
Actually, it kind of does because my
Okay, all right,
argument
well,
is that-
maybe I'm just doing it because I just want to do it. I want to have a good time.
Okay. But like, I mean, honestly, so actually, so in animals, when they did tests, animals actually avoided cannabis in self-administration tests. How do you explain that?
I can't explain that.
What do you mean?
As in,
If it's so
I don't know why that
enjoyable-
would be.
If it's so enjoyable, then how come animals don't like it?
I don't know. That's a good question. But I would say it is enjoyable for a lot of human beings because.
Oh,
I
no,
mean,
actually a very small minority of human beings.
well, then why do people smoke it?
They don't. It's a very small minority of people who do it.
I mean,
It's like
even
20%.
so. I mean, why do those guys smoke it?
So that's just like data analysis. So
Yeah,
it's
but
like
they have to
descriptive.
like it to some degree if they're smoking it, right?
There are lots of religious people who go to church and they claim that they feel God in an orgasmic way.
Yeah.
I mean, am I supposed to, like, especially you can, like, I don't know, am I supposed to believe that? I don't understand. Like, do they actually have orgasms in church?
I wouldn't say they have an orgasm, but I would say some
Well, then
people.
what do they? Well, they say they do. Well, they're claiming they do it, right? They
Well, I
do
mean,
it in
even
private.
so, right?
So what I'm saying is this weed stuff is a cult.
Mhm.
People are internalizing this script. Historically, no one cared about cannabis. Historically, cannabis was just seen. You know, you go to the store, you see a vitamin supplement. Nothing. You don't think of anything about it. It's just like, oh, it's there. Same with cannabis. No one gave a shit about cannabis. It was only for very pragmatic reasons.
Yeah, but
I just
people
wanna
like to
know
get
why.
high.
No, they don't. I just explained to you that
What
they
would make
don't.
you think that, though?
Because a very small. I just told you. Are you
Yeah,
listening?
but we're not animals. We're humans.
I didn't mention animals. I mentioned an anthropological fact.
What? That animals don't like smoking weed?
That's not the No, I just told you historically,
Mhm.
humans did not care about it. In fact, they didn't do it.
Yeah, but they do
recreationally.
now.
Maybe there was one place somewhere
But
in
there are some now that do
Arabia.
now.
Okay, and I'm critiquing that, and I'm saying it's not inherent. It's kind of just following a cult,
So what?
a script, a cultural script.
Should
Okay,
people
I'm
not be
saying-
allowed to be religious or whatever?
No, you can be religious. You can pray to whatever, voodoo monster you want, and behind closed doors, fine. But I'm just saying, it's like it's just weird to me.
But I'm not sure why that doing something that's weird should make it illegal. You know what I mean?
I know. I don't know. I just want people to understand that the effects are. No, so the pharmacological literature, I'm not a scientist. I did read over it briefly. They, I don't know, they make claims that it is, quote unquote, rewarding, but they also, I think it also says that, like, it's just really not as rewarding as other drugs. So I don't think it's, in my opinion, like, because I've tried it before. And I was like thinking, like, this is like stupid. Like, it was just so stupid. Like, I didn't understand, how could someone like this?
Yeah, but you don't have to
like,
smoke weed if you don't want to, right?
I'm not saying well, the thing is, so yeah, well, you don't have to, open a bank account, do you? You don't have to.
No, you
But
don't.
you kind of right. So basically, if I want to survive in social whatever, in especially somewhere like Washington, like Seattle, for example. I live in Washington. It's very strong. It's very strong. Kind of people want you to do that. To be
Yeah, but
in
you
that
have
kind
you
of
could say
circle.
no, right?
Yeah, you could say no, but then I get told, like, oh, you're so grumpy, or you're a straight edge, or you're this, you're that.
Yeah,
Like,
but just tell them, I don't like it. Listen. For instance,
yeah, but
I'll give you like my
Okay,
own personal story if you don't mind.
oh dear.
Like I don't drink alcohol, right? And so
Oh, there you go.
but I don't think.
you
hold on. Let
That
me finish.
means you are now excluded from a lot of social circles, and you don't even realize it.
Yeah, but you could still hang
And
out
you
with
don't
people.
care, right? I don't care either.
Yeah, but you don't
I
have
don't
to.
care that I'm excluded from.
Hold
the
on.
fun. What is
At
it?
least let me finish my sentence. Sheesh. I'm saying that doesn't stop me from going out and hanging out with people and doing the fun things that those people.
You know what's
enjoy.
fun for me? Sobriety. Genuine.
Well, if you want
See,
to
when
do
you're
that, that's your point.
intoxicated and you're interacting with people, it's so unauthentic. It's so ungenuine. It's so fake. That's why.
Then don't do
I mean,
drugs. You don't have to.
Okay. Right, so then I wouldn't expose it. Conduct people who don't do it. But again, like the prescription, the legality part, I don't really.
Like, why
That's
should
what I
I?
said,
Why
I'm
should
not
I
a
be
scientist.
stopped from doing drugs because you don't like it?
No, I'm saying, you can pray to whatever God you want and behind closed doors. It's just retarded, honestly. But like, do it. Go ahead, feel free.
Oh, so you're saying, like,
no, to be
you don't
honest,
care
I
it's
do not
legal.
want my physician. I do not want my doctor to be smoking that.
You don't
Even
care
for
if it's
vacation.
legal. So you're
Even
saying
for
that.
vacation, I do not want them to be. Huh?
So are you saying like you don't care if it's legal? You just think it's stupid?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
But when it comes to like serious jobs, I actually like serious jobs.
What about him?
I don't want them to do that. I don't want.
I can
them
understand
to do
that.
Serious jobs.
Jobs can be like, hey, like, we won't hire you if you do this drug, and then boom, you're good.
Thank God.
I mean, they do that right now, right?
Excuse me, do you believe in victimless crimes? This is a very
No.
hard question. No, you don't believe in victim. Okay. So, well, why do you think people, because you said like, oh, the 20%, maybe like, yeah. So why do you think people came up with this idea of a victimless crime and how people still believe in it, right? Masturbating in the public, what is it called? Oh, what is it called? Fucking bus station, let's say. Whatever. Okay, that's a crime, right? It can't even be a felony, I guess. No victims.
I mean, as of right.
There are no victims, right? No victims. Okay, you're butt naked.
Do you want
victims.
do you want to answer to the question, or do you just want to hear yourself talk? Okay, so
What?
as of right now, under the current law, yeah, it is illegal. But again, I don't believe in the current law. I believe that if somebody owns their property, they can have the right to tell you to get off. But if you don't own your property,
I'm saying public property. I'm saying
that there's no
public
such. I don't believe in public property. I don't believe there's such thing as public
Okay,
property.
your sidewalk. So what the fuck?
Who's the owner of the sidewalk?
Everyone. Public.
Yeah, I don't believe in public property.
Okay, well, I don't believe in private property. How about that?
That's not really possible.
Yeah, I believe that the public should determine what you do in your house. How about that?
So if the public
then
said,
we're gonna have a little political
so
debate.
let's say the public says, "Hey, I want to stop you from eating food in your house." Does that make it okay?
Sure, man. I don't know. What if they found out that the food you took was, I don't know, stolen? Maybe it was illegitimate. Whatever it wasn't allocated properly. Okay, yeah, sure. Maybe they'll seize it.
That
Okay.
wasn't my question.
Public-private.
My question was.
No, do you mean when you say you don't believe in public property? Do you mean it legally it doesn't currently exist, or you don't want it to exist?
I don't want it to exist. As in, it
Oh,
doesn't
okay, it's a
exist.
prescription. Okay.
How can I join the talk? This is the Modern Day Debates Discord. So that's how you join.
Okay, how old are you?
28.
Do you have a serious job?
No. Yes, I
Okay,
do.
then you can do your whatever. Oh, what? Oh, how serious?
I mean, it depends on what you mean by serious job. I'm a forklift operator. Oh, I think I got kicked from the party.
So, how many people are watching your stream?
Dire Mall, Tribune. I don't know.
Okay, well, please no. So yeah, I'm anti-cannabis. That's my name. That's my way. Anti-cannabis.
But if I'm smoking weed in my own house and I'm not harming anyone.
I'm not gonna go to your house. That's what's gonna happen.
Oh, okay. So you wouldn't stop me from smoking weed? Like, you wouldn't call the police on me? or
No,
anything?
you can pray to your whatever you want. You can pray to your weed god. And I've actually, no, it is a cult. Like, I've actually heard people treat it like it's a godly figure, right? They're that retarded. They did that. Like,
I
you
mean,
can
I would
worship
agree with that. It is. That would be pretty dumb to treat weed like it's a god.
Okay, well, you do it yourself because you consider it recreational.
Okay.
Because it's not supposed to be recreational. There's nothing recreational about it. It doesn't activate any significant amount of dopaminergic reward pathways. It does do it indirectly, but it's like not significant. Like it's like blueberries can do the same thing.
Well, I mean, I don't really care whether you think that marijuana is bad or good for you. I don't really care. Like, I don't really have a strong opinion on that. What I care about is whether or not it should be legal or illegal for me personally.
Again, I think it should be illegal for people with serious jobs. If you don't have a serious job, then I guess you can do whatever the fuck you want with your miserable life.
I'm pretty sure, like, most jobs already tell you that if you do drugs, you can't work for us, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, actually. I like that. I also want them to chase them down during vacation. So... Chase
them down during vacation? What do you mean by that?
I don't even think do jobs... I've never been in a job. I've never been in the real world. That's what everyone says. When they say, oh, you've never been in the real world, they're just saying, oh, you've never been a slave to capitalism. That's just what they mean.
I love capitalism.
Oh, says the forklift driver.
What's wrong with capitalism?
How can you be a forklift driver and be like, oh, I love capitalism?
I don't think there's anything wrong with capitalism.
Hey, well,
Hello,
I don't want to
people.
get into that. I don't want to get into that.
I'm an anarcho-capitalist. What do you think I'm gonna say?
I don't know. I think capitalists, maybe not like neoliberals in particular, their understanding of economics is so perverted and it's so bad, and it causes a lot of problems for life.
I completely
destroys
disagree.
people's lives. You disagree?
Yeah, completely disagree.
So what do you think caused the 2008 financial crisis?
The government.
It was over speculation, financialization, all this garbage. They didn't understand the difference between exchange value and use value. It just spiraled, boom and bust, right? As Mark said. Okay,
the boom and bust cycle is created by the Federal Reserve.
Okay.
And who created the Federal Reserve? The state.
So you're gonna, point fingers at the government. Okay, well...
I mean, it's their fault.
We can play that game.
It's their fault. It's literally their fault. How am I not gonna point my finger at them?
So then why did they bail out the banks?
Because the banks are literally ran by the government. The Federal Reserve, the money, is literally ran by the state. They are an arm of the state. The federal, like a whole bunch of banks came to the government and was like, listen, we need to adopt this currency and have every single bank be forced to use it. And then we're going to be in control of it, and we're going to call ourselves the Federal Reserve. And then that's what happened.
I know.
Yeah, it's a state. That's a state thing.
It's funny. No, stop. Just like Ronald Reagan, the biggest neoliberal, he said, the 9 most dangerous words in the English language are God for the government, and I'm here to help, right? And what did the government do? They helped these big, evil, bourgeois corporations.
I'm against that. I'm against that.
What?
Yeah,
no, you're not.
Why would I support the state? Why would I support the state taking my money and giving it to corporations? Why would I support that?
Wait, can I ask a question? Where did the
corporations come from in the first place?
Sure.
You're a sucker to market.
All right, Cannabis, shut up. You had your chance.
Just
Go
let
ahead.
the more competent person take the driving wheel. So, you said that you're an anarcho-capitalist, right?
Yes.
So do you hold the belief that if we converted society to an anarcho-capitalist society, that standards of living would improve?
Oh, 100%. Without a doubt.
Okay. So presumably, something informed this belief. So what's like the sort of outcome data that you saw that led you to that belief?
Yes, what is the econometric calculation?
Hold on, Cannabis, do you want to, do you want to hear, he wanted to hear my answer to the question, not your answer to the question? Okay, so I'm not an empiricist, so I don't look at the data and be like, oh, their line go up on this stat, so therefore, I support this study. I support this policy. what I support, the reason why I support anarcho-capitalism fundamentally is because I don't think it's okay to violate the rights of innocent people or forcefully extract wealth from innocent people.
We're not talking about ethics.
I'm
we're
sorry,
talking about economics.
Anti-capitalist, if you interrupt me one more time, I'm gonna kick you from the room.
Oh, okay.
You understand?
It would be an honor to be kicked out of the room.
All right. Alright. I was just about to do it, but he left himself. Alright, thank you. So fundamentally, anarcho-capitalism is a philosophy of people who believe that it's not okay, it's never okay to initiate force against any other innocent person. Now, why I believe that we would be better off in a society that does that is because societies that have capitalism, and when I say capitalism, I mean the free exchange of goods and services between private property owners, you see more wealth generated because you basically are allowing people to trade the goods and services in which they own in a free open market and without any real barriers. And that is what generally creates wealth. So once you allow people to trade their goods and services in a free market without any barriers to entry and no state coming down and forcing its will on the innocent, you're going to see the general wealth of all the individuals within that society go up over time.
Right, so you stated at the start of this that you're not an empiricist. So that means that you don't value data towards, making inferences on empirical claims, which is strange. And then followed that up with saying that, the reason that you're an Ancap is based on your values. But that's not the thing in contention here. The thing in contention is whether or not standards of living would go up, whether or not that violates your values, right? And if you're not using some sort of outcome data to determine whether or not standards of living would go up, then I'm not really sure what's informing you of such a thing. And I want you to just imagine.
Does correlation equals causation?
There's more, and basically yes, actually. But anyways,
how?
I'll explain in a minute, but I still had a thought that I want to finish. Mm-hmm. So, as I was saying, if you imagine applying this standard anywhere else, like let's say, in the field of medicine, right? If someone, just talks about this medicine and they say, this new compound that I've devised, it helps, deal with acne, and all teenagers should be consuming it. And then someone asks, all right, presumably something led you to believe this. Did you have some phase 1.5 trials where individuals were being given these and their acne faded without some concerning downsides? And then they reply with, oh, well, I'm not an empiricist.
Wait.
And then they reply with, oh, well, I'm not an empiricist, so, it's just about my values. The first thing that comes to my mind is, what does that have to do with whether or not the medicine works, right? And secondly, you said something about people having the freedom to practice various economic things. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's just the same as someone saying, well, this compound, according to my theory of how the chemical interactions should work, should do this and that, which is just some sort of speculation on how they think the complex system will play out. But notice how that's highly inferior next to things like outcome data, and is damn near useless when it comes to something as complex as the human body, let alone something as complex as humans in some large-scale society, right?
Yeah, so the problem with the difference between, say, testing a drug is that you can see the side effects being done onto each individual person, and then based on that you could sort of make general guesses based on that data. But the difference the problem, right, with doing that when it comes to the economy is that there are so many different factors outside of what you can correct for that can affect that study that you can't really account for. And also correlation doesn't always necessarily equal causation. So when you say, for instance, when a person says, hey, the minimum wage, when economists, they say the minimum wage is always generally going to increase unemployment and raise the general prices of goods and services, right? They're not pointing to a study and saying, hey, I believe this because of this study. What they're doing is they're being like, okay, well, scarcity is a fact of reality, right? And because we live in a world of scarcity, based on that fact, when you force somebody to pay for more for a good or service, they have no choice but to either cut back on what they're paying for, raise the prices of what they're buying or what they're selling, or not buy as much of that good. So based on that information, you can make the argument, right, that hey, minimum wages generally lead to higher unemployment and higher prices of goods and services. Now, if I were to say, if somebody would have come up to you and be like, hey, you need a study to prove that. Well, the problem with that is I could show you a study that shows, hey, the minimum wage did not create unemployment, and I could show you a study that shows the minimum wage did affect unemployment. And the reason why that is, and the reason why I could show you two different studies that show two different results, is because there are so many different outcome or things that that could affect that study that can't be accounted for in every individual study. And because of that, you're always going to get different results. So when it comes to economics, we don't go based on empiricism. We go based on the fact of scarcity, and then we go based off of that fact. Because studies, when it comes to economics, can be very misleading.
No, I mean, it would only be, quote, misleading to someone who's confused. So if you have two studies with conflicting results, right, there's some reason for the difference in results, obviously. And getting to the bottom of the reason can help you determine why the results were different. Now, everything you're saying about, some studies having different methodologies and coming to different conclusions says literally nothing about whether or not the bar has been met. All you're saying is even if we give outcome data, we now have to analyze the methodology to be sure, right? But just so you know, the evidence hierarchy places mechanistic speculation at bottom of the barrel, even when we're talking about expert speculation, someone who's deep in the field of the mechanisms. That's considered bottom of the barrel. Even small scale observations rank higher than that for obvious reasons. Look, you can give me the greatest expert in the world on, some sort of mechanisms related to this specific chemical compound. They have their whole life dedicated to understanding the human body, right? They say this black fluid, when you drink it, it is safe. They are absolutely confident in it. I know they're not lying, right? If you give that to one single person and then they drop dead, I am not drinking it. Why? Because that observation carries greater epistemic weight than the speculation, even from the greatest
But that's not
expert.
how economics work, bro.
That's
That's not how it works.
Go ahead, practice
Yeah,
Germany.
saying, quote, that's not how that works is
Well, we could
not
explain why.
doing
We could
anything
explain why.
interesting.
We could explain why. So go ahead, practice Germany.
Like, I don't know how you can interpret this into economics, because as an anarchist, I'm obviously gonna leave out the whole state. If an action involves aggression, we are always against it. Always bad. Always leads to something.
Wait, I'm gonna jump in here because you're already not talking about something related. You're talking about your values. You're not talking about some sort of descriptive claim of how you would expect the state of affairs to be. Your values have nothing to do with your predictions.
That is the state of affair.
Wait, then why are you talking about how you care about the way people have the freedom to do XYZ? This is just moral stuff. We're not talking about that right now. We're talking about whether or not you have good evidence to suspect.
Yeah,
We're talking about whether or not...
I'm not arguing for regulation. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to say regulation is bad. You would be the one to say regulation is good. Am I right?
What? Wait, when you say bad, what do you mean by bad? Do you mean morally bad, or do you mean that it will
Morally
inhibit the ability for standards of living to go up?
No, morally bad.
Well, I would say both.
Yeah, both in this case. But
If you're just saying morally bad, I don't care. If you're saying, oh, actually, I just have this prediction that these sorts of regulations being in place, they inhibit standard of living compared to if they weren't in place, right? Then there's something you're saying that's relevant. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I could make that argument. Yeah, so whenever you put
Even
on a
that
regulate,
thing.
anytime that you put a regulation on a business, you increase the cost of running that business. Anytime you increase the cost of running that business then adds the cost of the goods and services onto either the person whom they are selling to, or they cut back on the people whom they are hiring, or they just don't do as much business as they would otherwise. That's I mean, that's always inevitably going to happen anytime that you put any sort of regulation on any sort of business. Kind of like, say, the minimum wage. When you put a minimum wage on a business, you're forcing that business to pay people higher than they would otherwise, and then they either have to make up for it by cutting back on employing new people, hiring less people, raising the prices of their goods and services, or not doing as much business as they otherwise would. So yes, based on that,
so
you can you don't need a scientific study to show that regulation is going to be bad.
Regulation is bad.
It's based on the fact that we live in a world of scarcity, that we can deduce that when you put a regulation on a business, it's always going to lead to a less wealth being created than otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, is there a way for you to formalize the argument? Because what I
just did.
heard does not sound even remotely. No, I asked for a formalized argument and premise, form, conclusion.
Okay, so
You only
premise
give them
one.
one side of it.
Okay,
you know?
so premise one: when you force a cost.
Okay, wait,
onto,
let me write this down. When you force
a cost onto a business
onto
because of scarcity, they have to make up for that money.
Are we seriously arguing about this? Like, do you actually not believe this?
Do you really not believe, though? You
uh,
disagree with that?
Do you actually disagree with that?
No, I just want to know what the inference is, because what I heard just sound like some vague jumbling of things that don't actually entail the
What do you think I
conclusion you're
said?
getting to.
What do you think I said? What do you think I'm saying? Say back to me what I just said. Go ahead.
Some string of premises, if I could even put those in
Okay,
premise
say back
form,
to me what I just
that
said.
don't entail the conclusion.
What? Say back to me what I just said.
When you force a cost onto a business because of scarcity, they have to make up that money.
Yeah, is that not true?
I didn't say that's not true, although I'm not sure exactly what that means because it's vague. But what's
How
the
is that
second premise?
How do you not know
If
what
you
that
put a
means?
cost
What
on a
part of that
business-
do you not understand?
I said, well, I didn't say I don't know what it means. I said it's vague, which means that to
Okay,
me
what's
it could
vague
mean
about it?
multiple things. What's vague about it? I mean, when I look at when you force cost onto business because of scarcity, they have to make up for that money. I don't know what's meant by make up for that money.
The money that was
The money
that you have to spend in order to uphold that regulation.
Yeah, but is that taking into account whatever the benefits are of such a thing, given that surrounding them there's some sort of economical forces that apply
If there were
to
benefits,
all the
they
other
would
businesses that
fucking
have the same regulation enforced? If that's not being taken into account, then I'm actually not
Hold on.
going to agree with this.
Hold on, listen very carefully. When you force a cost onto a business, do you believe that scarcity exists? Yes or no?
That's also vague.
So how is that vague? Do you either believe scarcity exists or you don't?
That's like saying, do you believe blue exists? What does that mean?
Does blue exist?
Yeah, there's also...
Does blue exist?
Yeah, I don't know. It depends what you mean by
Yes,
blue. And
it
depends
does
what you mean by
exist. The color blue does exist, yes. No.
The color blue exists as a concept. It exists, like
Yes.
the concept of blue.
Holy shit, bro.
Oh
You
my
must be
god, bro.
trolling,
Okay.
Can I ask you a question,
Next
KingSithis?
person.
I mean, I'm pointing
Can I
out
ask you a
that it's
question?
obviously
Can I ask you a
fumbling
question?
words and semantics. You think
Respectfully,
that
bro,
you're
raising
you
my
had your
hand.
chance. You have
I'm raising my
fallen.
hand.
We're fallen.
I'm raising
You
my
had
hand
your
first.
chance. Next person. Dark. Go ahead.
KingSithis.
Wait. So
No,
just to be clear,
is it
you
true?
Dark, you're being
So
very
just
rude,
to be
Fallen.
clear-
Fallen, you're
just to
being
be clear
very,
before
very
you run
rude.
away-
If you do not
Just
stop
let me have it for a
speaking while
second.
the other person is
Wait.
speaking, I'm going to kick you
Wait,
from the room.
hold on. Just to be clear,
All right, I'm
just
gonna
to be
give you
clear,
2
you're
more
running away
seconds.
from giving
I'm not
any
running away.
evidence for the claim.
I literally gave you your chance.
Well, I'm not done
and
with you.
failed.
Why are you running away?
So
I'm not
KingSithis.
rushed.
in front of your-
You had your chance.
So
Somebody else
running
wants
away
to
in front of
speak.
the audience.
You had your
Hold
chance.
on,
Just talk to me.
Somebody else
If you
wants to
stop
speak.
engaging him, he'll stop talking.
Okay, so clearly this guy didn't have any evidence. Now I'm going to post evidence to extend the olive branch in the reverse.
You could not
Wait,
even answer
Fallen,
whether or
Fallen.
not scarcity
So
exists.
KingSithis.
You could not
So
tell me whether or not
KingSithis.
scarcity
I have a
exists.
better conversation.
Depends what the fuck you mean. You're being
Do you
very
not know
vague
what
with your
scarcity
wording.
exists? Do you not know what scarcity is?
I have many concepts of scarcity.
Okay, I could tell you what I
But
mean by
there's not
what
some
scarcity
very
is.
specific one I have. There's some concepts
I
of
could
it
tell you what
that
I
would
mean by
not
what
exist,
I could tell you
and
what I
some
mean.
concepts of it
I
would
could tell you
exist.
what I mean when I say scarcity.
Yeah, that's what I've been asking for. Are you finally gonna do that?
You didn't ask me. Oh, you were literally like, I don't know what. So do you want to
Wait,
know?
When someone says, "Oh well,
Guys,
there's many
KingSithis,
things you can
let
do,"
me
Oh
ask you a
my
so I
question.
haven't
Oh my
pinpointed
Is it
it.
true that a
Is that
business
not
will
implicitly
hurt.
saying that
dump their
you have
trash
to
in the river
elaborate
if you
for
don't
me
have
to get it,
regulations? KingSithis? Because
Okay.
you was asking him, like, is it true that regulations drive up prices? I agree with that. But is it not also true that a business will dump their trash in the river if there's no if there's nobody going to stop them?
It
There's
depends
no
on
regulation.
who owns
No.
the river.
So nobody owns a river, right? It's like a...
Well, then they would be claiming ownership by dumping shit into it.
Yeah, we have a river.
Yeah, then it would be their river.
claiming ownership. So what if, like, all the people who live around the river want to claim ownership of it first?
Yeah. if
Whoever's
they
the
did it
first comer
it's
would be
their
the
river.
owner.
And that would be aggression against the other's property.
Yeah.
Other people's property.
So the first comer would be the
Okay.
owner. Any second comer would not be the owner.
Alright.
You would have
So
the right
what
to
if all the
pollute.
people, who live on the river decide that they don't want to give police protection to the business anymore because the business keeps dumping stuff in the river and they claim to be the sole owner of the river?
Well, it depends on whether they are the owner or not.
Well, I'm saying the people who live around the river decided that they don't want to give police protection to the river, to the company anymore because they keep, poisoning the river.
I mean, you don't have to give police protection to anyone.
So they're just gonna go burn down the business, right?
No, that would be a violation of that whoever owns that business's rights.
Well, by their worldview, they would probably say having poison in their water is a violation, right? Because they can't get drinking water.
Well, it's not their river.
It is a river. What are you talking
Wait,
about?
who owns
Whose
the
river is it? You
Dictionary.
just told me
Yeah.
earlier that it was the company's river.
No, I didn't say that. You said that.
Because the third person?
Well, I asked you who was the first comer to the river, and you said the company, right?
Yeah, for the sake of argument, I said yes.
Well, then that would make them the owner, right?
Oh, by the way, KingSithis, in side chat, I posted actual data, something that you miserably failed at, showing
I'm trying
that
to get you-
institutions are
Alright,
actually
alright.
key. Showing
Alright,
that
so let's
institutions are
address-
actually key to long-run growth of businesses.
Okay, so
So you
correlation
see
does
where I'm
not
going with this, KingSithis?
correlation doesn't equal
Like-
causation.
Yeah, saying
you
that
see-
without seeing the methodology is brain dead.
Does
Right,
correlation
what's your
equal
problem with
does
the
correlation
methodology?
equal
Answer the
causation?
fucking question, Fallen.
When you say does it equal causation, if you mean are those words tautological, obviously not. Is correlation strongly indicative of causation? Yeah. And
Okay,
when you
so then
control for
correlation does not equal
confounders,
causation.
does
Thank
the
you.
likelihood... Wait, dumbass. That's like saying, does being attractive equal getting dates? No. To be attractive means something different to get a date, but if you are attractive, do you get more dates? Yes. What are you, retarded? That was your
Okay, so
best
then
objection? Did you really
you're
think that was
agreeing with
novel?
me that correlation doesn't equal causation.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with a trivial thing
Okay, thank
that
you.
has no
Thank you.
bearing on whether or
I
not the
appreciate
study's
that.
accurate.
So
Now,
do you
go ahead
believe
and
that
tell me if the
scarcity
study-
exists? Do you
Yeah,
believe
go
that
ahead and
scarcity?
read the study.
Do you
Go
believe
ahead
that
and read the
do
study
you
now.
believe that scarcity exists? Yes or no?
Dude, you are getting blown the fuck out. Holy shit.
Do you
Oh my
believe that
God.
scarcity exists?
Fallen.
Do you believe
I'm gonna
that
read
the
it.
study in side chat debugs everything you said?
No, because correlation doesn't equal causation, which you agree with.
Wait. So do you think that there's ever been a study that's demonstrated that a certain medicine is going to result in you having improved health?
We're not talking about medicine studies. We're talking about economic studies.
Right, but
Economic
you
studies
said
can't
correlation
prove.
doesn't equal causation. What happened?
We're talking about economic studies. Correlation doesn't
Wait,
equal.
yes or no? Yes or no? Are there correlation studies that get you to the conclusion that a medicine is healthy? Yes or no?
I mean, it doesn't get you to the conclusion that the medicine
Ajin
is
coming in
always
3,
healthy. It
2,
depends on the
1.
individual.
Yep, he didn't say
Because
yes or no.
correlation-
Holy shit, you're into a
I said
corner.
no. I
Yeah,
said
dude.
no. And
So there's never been a study involving a correlation.
yes, there is
that
no
helps us
study.
infer that a
There is
medicine
no
is
study
healthy.
that shows that this pill will work 100% of the time. Yes.
What? That's not what was said, retard. Nice try reframing.
Yeah,
now, let me
because
go
there's
back
no
to what
pill.
was
There is
actually
no
asked
pill that
after
can
your after your embarrassing rewriting of history. I asked you, has there
You are
ever
so
been a
mad.
study
Why are you
that
so
has
mad?
shown that a medicine is healthy? Yes or no?
It depends on what you mean by healthy.
Oh my God. All right, I'll make this simpler for you, right? Has there ever been a correlation study that has showed that eating fruit generally improves health? Yes or no? Anything other than a yes or no is going to look very embarrassing. Go ahead.
Yes, there are studies that do prove that.
Okay, so just
That
to be
generally,
clear,
yes.
correlation studies do give you this inference.
Yes, but it doesn't mean that every time
All right.
you eat a
And
study.
now you're saying
Hold on,
that for some reason
hold on.
specifically
I
when it
answered
comes
your
to
question.
economic
I
studies,
answered
that
your
doesn't
okay.
apply,
So I'm
right?
gonna lower your volume if you don't allow me to respond. Okay, so that doesn't mean that every single time that you eat a banana or fruit that you're always going to be healthy, right?
That's not what the study even shows.
Okay, so there you go. Anyways, when it comes to
What do you
economic
mean, there you
studies,
go? Wait,
so when it comes
just
to
be
hold
clear,
on, I'm going to respond. I'm going
does show causation in that
not
case.
when it comes to
It was-
economics. Not when it comes to economics. I've explained this
Okay,
many
so
many
when
times.
you say correlation doesn't equal causation, all you're really saying is you're just specifically skeptical of economic studies, conveniently for the conversation topic being economics, right?
Yeah, because economics is a whole different thing.
Right, so what exactly is the
taking
symmetry
pills.
breaker between studies on healthy food and healthy economics?
Well, because the thing is,
economics isn't medicine.
huh?
Just let him answer so he could
medicine.
fumble real quick. You got this, bud. Go ahead.
Because economics isn't medicine.
Yeah,
I asked what the symmetry breaker is. Yes, we're aware that it's not medicine, but what is it about not being medicine that makes the results suddenly not important to you?
Because you could test, you could legitimately look and see how much like an individual drug is more likely to do this thing to these amounts of people. But when it comes to a scientific study, when it comes to economics, you're always going to get. See, the thing is with a study, when it comes to pills, you can sort of recreate that study using different people and get sort of the same results. And based on that, you can make a good estimation that this pill is healthier for you and this pill is not healthier for you. But when it comes to economics, it's very different. When you say, hey, this study shows that the minimum wage is going to make the economy better, the problem with that is that correlation doesn't necessarily equal causation. Every single time that just because there was a time in which the minimum wage was raised and then the unemployment rate didn't go down, that doesn't automatically mean that the minimum wage raising was the reason why that unemployment didn't go down, because there are so many things that can affect that unemployment rate that you can't account for. Whereas a medical study, there are so many things that you can account for that make it a lot more easier for you to make a decision. But with economics, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of things that you can account for in a study that could affect that study. That's why with economic studies, you can't really rely on them the same way you can with a pill study, because with economic studies, they get hundreds of different results just based on where you are and all of these outside factors that you can't really account for. So that's the difference between like an economic study and a pill study. Economics can't really be deduced down to empiricism. Fundamentally, you have to go when you want to make like arguments based on economics, you have to go based on the facts of reality, based on the fact that we live in a world of scarcity, and based on that fact, you can make your economic arguments. So
Okay,
my question to you after
okay.
So my question to you after this is, do you believe that scarcity exists?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some multitude of answers to that question, but first I want to address.
Well, there's
you
a quick
said.
yes or no.
The answer is I don't know, because
You
I
don't
don't know
know?
what you're exactly asking there.
So I can tell you what I mean by scarcity.
Wait, hold on. You're not going to cuck me out of responding to that ramble, are you? I thought you were going to be good faced now because it seemed like you calmed down. So, just to be clear,
I've been
right?
calm this whole time.
Well, yeah, until you started trying to force a question at the end after not allowing me to respond to all the stuff that came before chronologically. Anyways, so to respond to the stuff you said in order, right? It sounded like you said Well, I think the distinction is there's just more confounders in economics because there's more complexity to it. There's more moving parts, right? If that's what you're saying, which I'm actually going to ask, is that what you're saying before I continue?
There's so many moving parts to it that it's impossible to get any actual like economic.
All right, I'll take that as a yes. So
yeah, basically,
so if that's
yes.
a yes,
it's not the
Okay,
same
so
as
if
like
that's a yes-
a pill study.
if that's a yes, that's actually more reason to say that the mechanistic speculation is unhelpful. Because of all the moving parts, you're saying that the mechanisms are even more complicated, and speculating on the individual mechanisms and trying to make some inference on the outcome is going to have an even lower probability. Because imagine the issue with speculating on the mechanisms of the human body. You could hear experts saying, well, this macrophage interacts with that macrophage, and then these downstream cytokines have this, like all this like complicated shit, right? And they're not even hitting like 1% of the tip of the fucking iceberg of the things that are going on with the human body because it's so unbelievably complex, and that's why their mechanistic speculations don't play out. Now, in the same way, if you're actually saying it's even more complicated with economics, that's just going to further lower the value of the mechanistic speculations and favor the outcome data even more. And touching on what you said about confounders, yeah, if there's more moving parts, that's what outcome data is better at dealing with, because you could simply control for confounders that cover all the mechanisms in one fell swoop. For example, I don't need to know about all the chemical interactions that take place in the human body when someone exercises. I could just say, okay, if I want to see if the food is healthier and I want to know that this population is not exercising more, just make them not exercise more, and there you go. The confounder is controlled for it. It's very simple stuff. So in the same way, if you have research on some given subject, and you're positing that it's even more complex than a human body, which I'm actually not going to agree with that, but let's just grant it for the sake of argument right now. That would actually favor my case even more. Epistemically speaking, now the outcome data is even more heavily weighted. So you're not actually helping your case by saying that there's more moving parts. That's more reason to say don't speculate on the mechanisms. So again, this is why the scientific evidence hierarchy favors outcome data more than anything. And the larger the scale of the outcome data and the more confounders that are controlled for, the higher it ranks on the tier list. This is something that's agreed upon by universally, like just all philosophers, all scientists, anybody who's anybody in any field domain. Even economists say this. They rely on data to try to determine whether or not tariffs are useful. And there's a lot of complication to it.
Okay, so does scarcity exist? Yes or no? I just want a quick yes or no to that question.
Well, if you're describing some sort of phenomena of like the lack of money as like some concept.
I can tell you what I mean by scarcity. So
What?
Scarcity is the fact that there are objects in this world in which two people can't use at the same time, right?
Okay, so are you just asking me if it is true that there are objects that
in which there could
are
be
going to
conflicts
be
over?
exclusive to one individual or something?
Yes.
I guess, sort of. Like, I could think of, like, the part of...
So, for instance, if I'm wearing a watch, I could, to clarify, if I'm wearing a watch, right? Me and you both can't wear that watch at the same time and walk away from each other, right? Like, one of us is the one that has to wear the watch, right?
I mean, I suppose, unless it's, like, a really big watch with, like, a band that stretches out.
Well, yeah. No, I'm talking about a normal-sized watch. Like, obviously, we can't both wear...
I'll just say yes. I'll just say sure.
Yeah, so that is what makes an object scarce. The fact that two people can't do the same thing with that object at the same time and with two separate means, right? And a means would basically to do something, and an end would be to achieve some sort of like... so like basically how us humans are, we think of some sort of way into that in which we are better off. We basically act to do something with that object, and then the end is to achieve some sort of better happiness out of doing something with that object. And scarce objects are basically objects in which, again, two people can't do the same thing with, and they can't do two conflicting things with each other. So because of that fact that we live in a world of scarcity, when I force a price up onto a business, or I force a cost onto a business, that business does not have unlimited resources, correct?
Uh-huh.
So do you believe that businesses have unlimited resources, right? Or no?
I just said no
Okay,
because
that
I
was just-
said in response to the reverse.
Yeah, I was just clarifying, not trying to make it sound stupid or anything. So because of that fact, when you force a cost onto that business based on the fact of scarcity, we can deduce that the only thing that they could do is to either cut back on their costs or to make more money. And generally, the way that they do that is by raising the prices of their goods and services, not hiring as many people, or firing people, correct?
No, I
No?
wouldn't expect that. It's necessitated that their overall income wouldn't be higher for other reasons. Like, there's too many downstream effects of raising minimum wage. It can make workers more proactive. It also results in all other companies having to pay their workers that much. It also means that people have more money to spend, which means they can end up buying more of the product
Okay,
to
wait.
begin with.
Let's assume that the business does not have the money to pay each. Let's say we raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Let's assume that the business does not have the money to pay each and every single one of its businesses $15 an hour. What do you think is going to happen?
If they don't have the money to pay and they value not going bankrupt, they're likely just going to fire some people.
Okay, so that would lead to higher rates of unemployment, right?
Not necessarily. Those individuals can find jobs elsewhere.
Okay, so you're meaning to say that... So wait, but that's a job that would have been there that is no longer there because of that policy, right?
But it may just create jobs elsewhere to an even greater degree, which weren't prior there. Like, we could say, okay, now these individuals have gone from, let's even idealize it and say they went from a 100% chance of, having a job, even though that's not technically the case, to now having a less than 100% chance of having a job because they have to go find a job and that's not guaranteed or something. Even if you want to say that, I still wouldn't say that entails that we would expect that jobs go down, because also raising minimum wage could cause other people who didn't have jobs prior to now get jobs.
Okay, so if every single business now has to pay more for... every single business has to pay more for employing people, how are they going to make up for that money lost? What do you think they're going to do?
Make up for the money lost. I mean, for starters,
they're going to lose money, right?
For starters, they're going to have more proactive workers because the workers are getting paid more. But more importantly, in other lines of work, for the companies that are now paying their workers more, those people now have more money to spend.
That's okay. So that's not an answer to my question. The question that I asked you is, how are they going to make up that money?
I just explained in two ways. One, their workers being more proactive presumably gives them more money.
So if you pay somebody more, that automatically means they're going to have a higher productivity?
In many cases, yes, that's actually what data shows.
Guaranteed.
But the
If
second
that was
thing
true,
is-
if that was true, hold on, if that was
Wait,
true,
hold on.
then why
Make it
don't
for
companies pay people a lot now and get more productivity out of them?
Because there's diminishing returns to the degree of it, and also because
Okay,
companies
so
don't
then
always
you're proving
do.
my point. So
Because
how else are they going to make up that money
wait,
when the
wait,
diminishing
wait,
returns happen?
Wait, there was more to be said.
Okay.
Secondly, and this is the bigger one, companies don't always do what's best for themselves. You realize that, right?
Okay, why not?
Like, you know that people can make mistakes in companies? I own a business. I don't make perfect decisions.
Oh, I understand people don't always make perfect decisions, but I don't think that companies are going to make decisions that are going to make them completely lose money for no reason. Yeah, I don't
They
think
actually do many times.
most business owners aren't going to do that. Your average business owner is not going to just pay somebody more in the hopes that they're going to do more business. Okay, so
Also,
then
the
wait,
company-
if that's
by the
true,
way-
if that's true, then why don't businesses pay people more right now in the hopes that they do more productivity?
Because, again, for one, if the business owner is a human, they're not going to be making perfect decisions. They're not predicting accurately.
I get that.
what would best
Yeah,
help
but
them.
you would say-
Hold
But
on,
business
hold on.
owners aren't
Hold on,
retarded.
Hold on.
People who would do
Let
that.
me speak,
No,
motherfucker.
wait, let me
I just
wait.
started talking. You're already interrupting
It's
again.
good.
Hold on,
Self-awareness
Prax,
is-
let him go, Prax.
So, now you made me lose my train of thought, so I have to start over. So
No,
first
go
off,
ahead.
they're
Sorry.
not don't make optimal decisions all the time. Secondly, it's less about whether the business as a whole is making a certain amount of money, and more about whether the decision maker, which is the boss, of course, or collection of bosses, are making money. And so if the business has less wealth overall, but the bosses themselves end up with more money in their pocket because they're not paying the workers as much, then the people who make the decisions are going to favor paying the workers less so that they can have more money in their pocket, even if the business overall is worth a bit less.
Okay, so you're admitting that it isn't always profitable to pay your workers more, even if it might raise their even if it might raise their productivity a little bit.
Of course, it's not always the case.
Okay, so then let's go back. Okay, so thank you for proving my point that I was making earlier. So then let's go back to the earlier point. So what is going? So what? Oh, hold on. I will make it. I will make it right now if you allow me to. So the point that I was making is that businesses don't have unlimited resources. So when you force a cost onto all of these businesses, how do you expect them to make that money back? How are they going to make? What do you think they're going to do to make that money back?
Well, the ways that I just listed, and if you were listening to yourself, you said
you
that
just said wait. You just said that. Oh well, the workers are going to work more and have a higher productivity because they're getting paid more.
Wait.
But if that was true, the businesses would just pay them more now, and then they would get a higher productivity. But that's not happening.
All right, so you ready for the response? As you already said before, right? You said it's not always the case, and that's what I agree with. And I said, yeah, it not always being the case.
Okay, so what are they going to do to make their money back? What are they going to do to make their money back?
Hold on. Oh, I just explained a multitude of ways before. But anyways, hold on. So to be clear then, you agree that it could go either way, right? Because you said it's not always the case, which I take to mean that there are cases where it would and would not result in more money if the workers are paid more.
It depends on the situation.
Exactly.
Again, if every single business got more productivity out of their workers for paying them more, then you would see more businesses just paying people more. But again, you don't see that. Again, you do not. Again, you do not see that. So you have to give me some sort of other explanation as to how they're going to make their money back when you force that cost onto them. You have to give me some explanation for that.
Well, good thing I didn't make the claim that you just strawman me into, so I don't have to defend that.
Okay, so then, all right, so then explain. How are they going to make their money back?
If you're asking, just to be clear, and don't cut me off because you're confused, there's a circle now. If you're asking, how do we guarantee they make their money back?
I never said guaranteed.
Now,
once.
Now, if you're asking,
I never said guaranteed once.
Now, if you're asking, oh, well, what are the cases where they do end up making their money back? Those are cases I've already described.
No. See, this shows you weren't listening.
I'll repeat them. Okay,
you weren't listening.
Do you want me to repeat them or no?
No, because you weren't listening. I want you to respond to the question that I actually threw at you. The question that I actually threw at you was, the question is, very easily, when you force a cost onto a business, what do you think they're going to do in order to make back the money lost? Go ahead.
What are they going to do? Does this presume that there's anything they're going to do?
Yes, of course. They're not going to just sit there and just take it, right?
Oh, wait, but you're embedding in the question that they're necessarily losing money when that could actually very well not be.
You're putting a cost onto the business. Of course they're going to lose money. You're putting a cost onto the business. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think a cost is?
Let me just explain. So if you're just loading the question with the business is definitely losing money and they are going to do something about it.
It's a cost. You're forcing them to pay people more. You're forcing them to pay people more.
All right, you're confused.
Cost.
Tell me when you're ready for me to explain the confusion.
He's not confused.
I'm not confused at all. When you force somebody to pay someone more, that's a cost.
He's also confused.
That's a cost, right?
Wait, explain.
Explain. Go ahead.
If by cost you mean something that on the summation results in a net negative, I don't see that.
End of the month.
No. They are paying. They have to pay more. You are adding a cost to their business. How are they going to make that money back? What are they going to do to make that money back?
Look, I'm going to give you an example to show how you're profoundly confused right now. So let's just say that the government forced me to hire literally God as my worker.
Okay.
Right? and I now have to pay, I'm forced to pay an additional $15 an hour
Yes.
for God to be my worker, right? You would say something like, how would you make up for the cost when I have a being that has infinite capability?
What the
Do you
fuck?
see
Okay,
how
but
that's
we're not talking
profoundly
about
confused on
God.
your
We're
part?
talking about human beings. People don't have infinite.
Yeah, that's not the
infinite
point, buddy. What I'm
Okay, then what is
explaining
the
is that
point?
there's not necessarily a cost to make up for.
There
Yes, it
is. There is.
Then you're just begging the question.
No.
Do it. You okay? So then you don't believe that scarcity exists?
That doesn't entail that scarcity doesn't exist. Holy shit, why are you so
Of course,
confused?
scarcity exists.
Wait,
Right?
you think that, wait, so just to be clear, you think that if I say that it's not necessarily the case that hiring a human is a net negative, that means that I think, quote, scarcity.
No, what I'm
what we're
saying,
saying.
what we
Let
are
me
saying,
differentially
listen
relate.
very carefully. What we're saying is when you
my God, you're
force,
confused.
listen very carefully. What we're saying is when you force a cost onto a business, right? They have to make back that money. And the only question that we're asking you is how do you think they're going to make that money back?
Force a
They don't
cost
have
or
they don't
a
have
net-
unlimited resources,
force-
right? They have to make that
force
money
a
back.
Cost, force a cost or force a net negative cost.
What do you mean by that?
I just explained before, so maybe stop interrupting and humble yourself so I could explain. So when you say force a cost, do you mean force some sort of payment that on the net with what it comes with actually ends up being more profitable potentially? Or
No.
do you mean forcing
No.
some hold on. Or do you mean forcing some cost that is
You're making my brain
itself
hurt.
in the negative?
You're making my brain hurt. All I'm saying is that you're forcing a cost,
Is
whether
it the
it's
first one or the second one?
no, it's just you're forcing a cost in general. If I go to the store, right, and
Okay,
I
well,
say
it's a
you need to
dichotomy.
pay,
It's one of
listen
those-
to me. If I go to the store and I say you need to pay for my Cheerios over here, and you don't have the money to pay for my Cheerios, what are you gonna do to make up for the fact you don't have the money to pay for those Cheerios?
Dude, look, there was a true dichotomy a moment ago.
Wait,
so if you're not
answer that
tracking,
question.
I'm gonna
Answer
help
that
you track.
question.
Yeah, this is just going to result in you having the same confusion because I'm just going to respond with the same question to your
Oh my
question so I
God.
can understand the question, which is this, right? And this is a dichotomy, so you have to pick one. When you say forcing a cost, do you mean a cost that is necessarily net negative or a cost that is not necessarily net negative? Is it the first or the
It
second one? Pick
depends
one.
on the situation. It isn't. There's no such thing as a cost
Okay,
that's
that
always
sounds like
negative
the
or
second one,
negative.
not necessarily net negative.
Okay, then second one. But okay, so then answer my
Okay.
question. Now that I answered your question, if I go to the store and I force you to buy me Cheerios and you don't have the money to pay for my Cheerios, then what are you gonna do?
What if I don't
have to get the money.
to
Yeah,
pay for the
you
Cheerios,
have-
then I can't buy you Cheerios? What?
Okay, so then you can't buy me Cheerios, right? Or you have to work to
Uh-huh.
make the money in order to get my Cheerios, right?
Wait. But just to be clear from earlier, this is like saying
Hold
if
on,
I don't
this
have
is-
the money
I
to
could
buy
very-
Cheerios, I'm gonna buy you
if-
Cheerios is not even related.
It is related. I
If
can
you're
explain.
saying someone-
I can explain why it's
if you're just
related.
asking
Just
if someone
answer the
doesn't have the money
hypothetical.
to
Just
hire a
answer.
worker,
Just
are they
answer.
gonna
Just
hire a
answer the
worker? The answer is
hypothetical.
no.
Just answer the hypothetical. I will explain why it's related. Just answer the hypothetical. So the hypothetical is it right? I force you, and I say I'm forcing you to pay for my Cheerios. I'm forcing a cost onto you, right? How are you gonna make that money up?
I don't know.
You don't know? Well, I could explain how you could. So what you could do is you could work to make the money, right? Or you can, or you're not able to pay for it. So that's the same
Okay.
thing with a private business. When you force a business to take on a cost, right? They have to make up that money somehow. How do you think they're going to make up that money? Well, there's two ways. They could raise the prices.
So you're confused still. No.
Okay.
There's not necessarily a cost to make up. Like, let's say if I bring
You're
you those
forcing them to
Cheerios,
pay
which-
higher wages.
Let's say if I bring you those Cheerios, which cost $5, you're
No, no,
gonna
no,
pay
no, no,
me
no.
$10.
You're forcing
when
me.
I bring you, hold on. When you force me to buy those Cheerios for $5, right? If you're gonna end up paying me $10 in return, then there's nothing
That's not
to make
what's
up
going
for
on.
because
That's
I'm
not what's
actually-
going on with a
then you're
minimum
begging
wage.
the question.
That's
then
not
you're
what's
saying
going
it's
on with a
necessar-
minimum wage. That's not
then
what's
you're
going on with a
saying it's
minimum
necessa-
wage.
Then
The government's
you're
giving people
saying
$10.
Shut up. Then you're saying it's necessarily net negative then, which I already painted as a dichotomy
Okay,
before.
yeah,
but
you're
you
just
chose,
you're just confused,
you
dude. I
chose
don't
that
know what
it's
to tell
not
you.
necessarily net negative. You're confused.
I'm not confused at all. All I'm saying is when you force a cost onto a business, they have to make up for that cost. And how they do that is by firing people or raising the prices of their goods and
No,
services.
that's only if it's necessarily net negative.
Fallen, can I ask you something? If I come to your house and you're broke and I ask you for money and I hold the gun to your head, and if you don't pay me, I'm gonna shoot you. What you gonna do?
I don't know. I'll give up. I don't know.
Yeah, you're either gonna have to die or make more money. That's exactly the same with the
No,
listen, you're-
no. This is not even
the
related.
actions
You're
are the same. The
confused.
actions are the same.
I'll
The
help
actions
you
are-
understand why you're confused too. So if me paying you, right, actually results in you paying me more back afterward, then there's not going to be some struggle unless the rule is
you don't
I
have the
have
money,
to
though.
give you.
You don't have the money.
Hold
You
on,
don't have the money.
hold on, you retard. I'm
No,
still
you
speaking.
just think you just think you get
Retard,
more
I'm
money in
still
your
speaking. I'm still speaking.
You're
Okay,
Stop
changing
cutting
the
me off out of
hypothetical
here.
to
think
try to
you
make
can
it
spawn
fit
money
your
in your hand.
worldview when it doesn't
hand.
work.
You think you can
Well,
spawn
wait,
money
just
in your
simmer
hand.
down there. Now, if
This
in the
is the
hypothetical,
modern day
let's say you
debates Discord.
stipulate,
Modern
because
day
I was already
debates
saying this
Discord.
before you embarrassingly cut me off because you're horrified at the intellectual superior in chat. If in the hypothetical you stipulate that the person wants you to give them money that's currently in your possession before they pay you back more, then you may have some sort of struggle and you'll get shot. Or if they're offering you time, you can go and work for the money before getting paid back more. Now, if you're just saying, oh, okay, these businesses, they currently do not have the $5 in their pocket, so to speak, to pay these workers. So now they're either going to have to fire a worker or do something else. That's not something that anyone in here is going to contest, and it completely misses the point, as if you're not even tracking the conversation. And
No,
furthermore,
that's literally
if you want to say,
That is
hold
the
on,
point.
hold
That
on,
literally is the
hold on,
point.
Hold on, there's more. It's not done.
That's how minimum wage works.
More than that, by the way.
Literally
If
Thanks
you
for
wanna
explaining
say,
minimum wages to us.
If you want to say, oh, well, look, the business is actually going to have, enough time to make up the money by raising prices and making money over time because they have some in deposit.
Wait,
That's
I
just
have a question after
implying
you're done.
again. That's just implying again that the cost is necessarily negative, because now you're just saying again that them continuing to do what they do, but now with these workers having a higher wage despite the increased productivity, is not going to result in them making their money back, which is just, again,
I have a question.
I don't know how many times I have to drill this into
Wait, hold
your
on,
head.
Prax, I got a
You
question for him.
saying
Prax, I got a question for
that
him.
you think that the costs are necessarily negative, which is begging the question. Okay,
All right.
now respond substantively.
Okay, so if the minute you're stating that the minimum wage does not affect unemployment in any way, and in fact that it can actually lower unemployment, is that your claim?
No, I said that I'm not sure whether it would necessarily go down. It could actually go up.
Okay. So the issue. So why don't we raise the unemployment to $100 an hour, and why not? Why not raise the minimum wage to $100 an hour?
Because then there's going to be jobs that are not feasibly written for $100 an hour.
Why?
Like we could take, for example, working at McDonald's. If those individuals are paid $100 an hour, which is the same amount that someone who's working a much more skilled, much more intensive job is being paid, then people are going to flock to the McDonald's job because it's much easier than the intensive skilled job.
But why?
Yeah,
why?
we're gonna lose the one sector.
Yeah, but why would that job, like, why would that affect any other job? Like, wouldn't that cause
Because
less
people are
unemployment?
not going to want to work at an oil rig for 3 times the money as working at McDonald's or more, depending on how much they get paid, if they can work a much safer, much calmer job that'll pay them just as much.
Yeah. So, but you don't think that's going to affect the business in any way? You don't think that business is going to it's not going to afford to be able to afford to pay everybody $100 an hour? You think it just has to do with that?
Oh, I think that if we're talking about McDonald's, I think that they could afford it for a while, but it would be like an overall loss because 100 is a fuck ton.
So do you think
Now-
every single, let's say we raise the minimum wage to $100 an hour, do you think every single business would be able to afford to pay each and every single one of its employees $100 an
No.
hour? Okay.
No.
So of the businesses that are not capable of paying their workers $100 an hour, what do you think they're going to have to do to, make up for that lost money?
They probably just can't, depending on the business.
Okay, so then they go out of business.
Pretty much.
So then all the workers within that business that were working in that business are now fired and don't have a job.
Presumably, at least temporarily, they could go find another job where they get paid $100 an hour.
Yeah, and you lost the business.
Yeah, and you lost a business, and now all of those people now no longer have a job.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Now
so
what?
you don't think that's going to increase the unemployment rate?
Oh, if you set it to $100 an hour? Yeah, I think that... I mean, are you asking like some actual pragmatic question, like what do I think would happen in the real world if the minimum wage was set
No,
to $100?
I asked you. No, I wanted you to answer what would happen in the 40K Warhammer universe. No, that's what I asked you.
Oh, then I just
What the
don't know.
Obviously not, you fucker. I'm asking you what would happen in real world.
Oh, yeah, I just think that would result in such a massive inflation that 100 would be about
But
equal
why?
to $15.
Why do you think that?
Why do I think that? I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty
Yeah,
obviously the
that's
case
possible.
that if that amount of money is being value adjusted to the kinds of labor that's worth minimum wage,
So
then
you're saying
that
businesses
amount
are
of
going to have to
labor is
raise their
going to be-
prices in order to
then
make
that
up for
amount of-
that money, right? Like they're going to have to raise their prices to make up for the fact they're paying
Well,
everyone.
not just businesses. It's actually just going to be the case that more money is going to get printed because there's literally not that many dollar bills to
Well,
go
let's
around.
put that aside. Let's put
Yeah,
that
that's
aside.
probably
Let's
not-
put that aside. I'm talking about like generally, like obviously, like if a business doesn't have the money to pay every single one of its employees $100 an hour, they have two choices: to raise the prices on the things they sell, or to like fire people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that when you fire people, that leads to unemployment, and when you raise prices, that leads to higher prices, right?
It doesn't necessarily lead to unemployment because I'll tell you right now, anyone who's unemployed who didn't want to work, I don't know why you're laughing because I already explained earlier how embarrassingly obviously it's not the case that would lead to unemployment. Anyone who's not currently working who now sees that some chumpy job pays $100 is very suddenly going to have a big motivation to work. So all those people are going to go for seeking jobs. And as for the individuals who were previously fired and now have a, let's just say, less than idealized 100% probability of having a job, now have a less than 100%, are just going to try to seek a new job for $100.
Yeah, but there's gonna be
presumably,
less
if the
jobs.
Current business
The-
went out
yeah,
of business.
Yeah, but there's going to
They
be less
can't get the
jobs.
job.
There's going to be less jobs, right? Obviously, than before.
Oh, I don't know if that's the case. Many new
Well,
jobs
of course
can
there's
open
going
up.
to be. Well, of course there's going to be less jobs because you've added a cost to starting businesses.
There's always been
Yeah, that doesn't
businesses
necessitate
always
that there would be
opening up.
less jobs. It just doesn't follow.
So you're
There's
meaning
always
to
gonna
tell
be
me
new
you're meaning
jobs.
to tell me there's going to be more. You think there's going to be more jobs if we raise the minimum wage to
There could very well be more
$100 an
jobs.
hour?
If I started
To $100
if I
an hour?
Yeah, if I start making $200 an hour, now I have enough money to start my own business and hire people.
For $100 an hour?
If I'm making $200 an hour, yeah.
I don't even. Oh my god, Prax, I don't even know how to respond to that. Jesus fuck.
Me neither, bro.
The mind
Okay,
boggles.
so
When you say you don't know how to respond to that, is that because you're confused
No,
about
it's
what
just
was
like the
just
most
explained?
stupidest
No.
fucking thing I've ever heard in my
Yeah,
fucking
let me
life.
just explain it very simply. If I start saving up enough money from making $100 an hour to start my own business, I leave my old job, I have enough money in savings, I've got some plan in mind, and then I hire someone for $100 an hour, I could sustain that for long enough to start making some sales and get into profit, right? Like, for example, in my HVAC business.
You're gonna have enough to
Let's
pay
say I
all of
start
your
making
employees. You're gonna make
$100
so much money that you're
Let's
gonna have
say I
enough to
start
employ
making
all your
$100
people
an
for
hour.
$100 an hour.
Yeah, just simmer down there. Just simmer down. So let's say I start making $100 an hour, right? And I save up for like 2 weeks, just 2 weeks, right? Now I've got thousands of dollars in my pocket. That might be enough to go get a contractor's license, buy a few condensers, and start paying someone $100 an hour for at least a week.
You don't think the
In that
prices
week,
of
if I
those things
sell
are
at
going to
least-
go up because now everybody's being forced to pay $100 an hour?
Well, if it's $100 an hour, I would suspect that most of it would go up, although it depends, because if we're talking just
What's
in the
gonna
US and
end
not
up
other
happening
countries.
is
Hold
these
on,
businesses
hold on.
are going to have to raise the
Hold on.
price. Hold on one second.
Hold on.
They're going to have to raise the
Hold on.
prices of their goods
Hold
and
on.
services to make up
Hold
for the
on.
fact that they're paying
Hold
everyone
on.
$100 an
Hold
hour.
on. I'm just going to ignore you until because you interrupted. Yeah, so it would actually depend, because if we're talking about that minimum wage just being in the US, then what I would say is it's actually not likely that the things I'm talking about would go up in price, because the things I'm talking about mostly come from China and whatnot. So it
Why are
actually
things
wouldn't
so
affect-
cheap
Now,
in
if you
China?
wanna
Wait,
say
wait, wait.
something
Why are
like-
things so cheap in China?
Oh, I mean, that's a whole other topic. Do you think that's even remotely relevant? Do you want me to get into it?
I think it's absolutely relevant. I would say the reason why things are so cheap.
I don't see how, but I'll just
I
give
can
you the
explain
quick
why.
answers.
I can explain why.
So number one,
I can
China
explain
is at
very
the
quickly why.
geometric berry
Hold on,
center.
whoa, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa, whoa, whoa,
number
whoa,
one.
whoa, 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 whoa. I can explain very easily why that's relevant. The reason why it's relevant is because China doesn't have the intensive labor regulations that we do. So because of that, people there work for less money, and because of that, we buy the companies are able to sell their goods at a much cheaper price than we would otherwise be able to, thus allowing them to pass the cost savings onto us. Is that not true?
Wait,
Their money
so you think
obviously isn't worth
that's the
anything.
full explanation for that?
Well, is that not true?
Well, are you asking?
Wait.
Is it
Tell me,
just
I want a
true
quick
that
yes or no.
workers
Is that
who
what
work
I just
for-
said
okay,
true or not true?
Wait, hold on.
Is what I just
shut
said
the fuck
true
up.
or not
I'm trying to
true?
get a
Empirical.
whoa.
You have to
I don't know
agree
what
with
you're
this.
asking is true, so just simmer down there, you dishonest cunt.
Okay, so clearly you didn't
if
listen.
you're asking-
I want to comment.
Whoa,
It's true.
retard, shut up.
Empirical
So if
proof.
you're just asking, is it true that workers are willing to work for less in China? That is a yes. But if you're asking, is it true that that is the full explanation for why things from China are cheaper? Fuck no. What the fuck?
It's a huge. I mean, it's not the explanation. Obviously, it's a pretty multifaceted issue, but it's a pretty damn big explainer
Yeah, I can
as to why
explain to you one that
things are
you're
pretty
really
damn
missing
cheaper.
out on, because if you thought that was the only thing, then you would think that products from, I don't know, Madagascar have the same quality to price ratio. That's not the fucking case, though. Fuck no, it's not, right? No. What's
that's
actually
how it
going
is.
on is a multitude of factors, including the fact that China is at the geometrical berry center of various resource outputs, like, every type of rare metal, including iridium, iron, lithium, all that shit. I mean, that's
Wait,
a
that
pretty
doesn't
fucking big
explain
deal for
why.
one.
That doesn't explain why the
two-
plastic goods are expensive.
For
Are they
two, there's
expensive?
also a lot
Are
of
not
corruption
expensive?
going on in China, because China, not too long ago, was just getting out of a communist regime, and
Based.
that has a whole lot of, I mean, I guess you could say, implications on how the production of various things took place. I mean, I don't really want to get into it, but yeah, I mean, certainly
Capitalism
part
is
of the
is good.
explanation, certainly part of the explanation is that the workers themselves are going to, be, at least historically, as far as I understand, willing to work for less. But that's not the whole explanation. Otherwise, you'd
I
see
didn't
the
say
same
it was the
quality
whole
to price
explanation.
ratio coming out of.
Okay, wait.
Yeah,
You're-
I mean,
you're
if
arguing
it's not
with a
the whole
ghost.
explanation, then what
You're
you're agreeing
arguing
on
with
is
a
that there's
ghost.
other factors. Then what you're agreeing on is that there's other factors.
Yes, there are
that
other factors
could
too.
contrast
Yes.
Okay, why do you keep interrupting? Do you have like a concept
Because
of decorum?
you're literally just repeating yourself, and you're arguing with a ghost. You're arguing with somebody who doesn't disagree with you. I'm literally.
Okay, then all you have to say is, oh, okay, I get what you're saying, but I don't think you do, because you don't know what I was about to say.
All right, dude, go ahead.
Yeah, so as I
We'll
was
see how
saying, if
useful
you're
it is.
then agreeing that there are other factors that are involved in determining the cost of a product other than how much workers are paid, then it could very well be the case that these other factors become favorably equated if you pay the workers more. So you can imagine a world where you pay the workers more and the prices go down.
Yeah, that's why using scientific studies to try to prove that the minimum wage doesn't affect unemployment doesn't really work very well, because you get two different tend to get very wildly different results depending on where you test and who you test and how you test. That's why us anarcho-capitalist Austrians go based on the fact of scarcity.
Yeah, there's obviously more factors than that. Like, for one, if the demand of the product changes, that would change the price of it. If the quality of the product changes, that could change the price. If some surrounding factors around the ease of production of the product are in play, that could also change the price of the product.
We
There
believe
could
in
be
that.
other things,
We don't
like
we believe in the
norms around the
subjective theory of
price.
value. We do believe in that. I'm not sure
Okay.
who you're arguing against on
Okay,
that
well,
point.
either way, what's hilarious is I've posited a multitude of more than plausible mechanistic speculations for you that I should say more than satisfies some alternative hypothesis. And here I've got some data inside chat showing that actually institutions seem to be key in long-term growth of small businesses.
Yeah, when you add a cost to businesses, they have to make up for that money. You were not
Do
really
you think
able
that,
to.
for
You were not
starters, raising
able. Hold
minimum
on.
wage
Okay,
is
so
the
you got
only
so
job of
you got
institution?
like so upset when I interrupted you, and now you're interrupting me. Oh my god! Like it's almost like, wow.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so obviously the question that we put forward to you many times, and it seems like you weren't really able to answer it in a concise way, which was fundamentally because of the fact of scarcity. If you put, say, $100 minimum wage onto a business, you put a cost onto a business, you know, how are they going to make back that money? You just somehow believe that they're just going to magically snap their fingers and have the money available to pay every single one of their employees $100 an hour, and that somehow that's going to generate more wealth. You know, the state literally forcing, outlawing jobs, making jobs illegal somehow creates more jobs. I'm not really sure how that works.
Yeah, that was a misrepresentation of what the response was at the time. The response at the time was, it depends whether you're talking about the world we currently live in at the current sort of inflation rate.
No, I was talking about
or
Warhammer
if you're
40K.
talking about some, or if
That's
you're
the world I
talking
was
about
talking
some
about.
world that's like a vacuum, and then there's like some sort of principles you're positing, excluding some sort of externalities, and then asking like how I think it would play out, because those are going to be two different answers, obviously. Now, as for the first one, I think that immediately there's going to be one of two possibilities in the real world, just to respond to this, because you embarrassingly didn't understand the first time. Either inflation is just going to go up drastically to adjust to the value of the labor in question, or
prices are
what
going
could
to go
happen
up.
is there's just like some economy crash out and the wages will go back to what they were. There's a reason why $100 minimum wages
why is that?
have never been posited in the U.S. Like,
why would you think that's going to happen?
Because if the absolute minimum amount is that high, then it reduces scalability.
Why?
Wait, you don't know why mathematically that would reduce scalability?
No, I don't know why. I'm a retard. Tell me why.
Okay, so like there's this basic concept in math where you could describe functions in terms of their, like relative size. I mean, I don't want to give like a whole math lesson, but I'll just put it like this. Like, look, if $100 is the smallest amount that's being paid, then the ratio difference between that and the middle and highest paying jobs has now decreased. So for example, if there was someone getting paid $200 an hour before the change of minimum wage from $15 to $100 an hour, that person used to be making like 20 times the money, right? But now they're making much less compared to that other person. They're only making twice as much. It's a very simple concept. If that job that was previously 15 times more valuable is now only twice as valuable, then all that's taking place is a skew
they're going
that
to
doesn't
expect to
adjust
get paid
across
more,
the board.
basically. So you're saying is they're going to expect to get paid, like they're seeing somebody who used to get paid $15 an hour, now they're seeing them getting $100 an hour. So they're like, wait a minute, I deserve to get paid more because I used to get paid $200 an hour, but now everything's more higher, so I should get paid what, basically more, to make up for that.
I mean,
right?
that among other things.
So how is that business going to make up for the fact that they now have to pay not just the minimum wage employees in their business, but every single one of their employees more? How are they going to make up for that? What do you think they?
Well, you don't have to pay any ones that are not minimum wage employees more. Unless
they just
were,
wait, but they're gonna. You just told
unless
me
they
that they're
were
gonna
at,
demand.
like, say,
They're
unless
gonna
they were
demand
at,
to
like,
get paid more. You
hold
just
on,
told me.
hold on, simmer down. Unless they were somewhere between the 15 and 100. So let's say you had workers at 50 and now they have to get paid 100. But those would be falling in the category of the minimum
so
wage
those
workers that I
people
described.
now want to get paid more. How and the minimum wage workers want to get paid $100 an hour. So how is that business going to make up for that money that is being?
They're probably
that
just
cost?
not. Now what?
Wait, what?
They're probably just not. Now what?
Okay, so they're gonna shut down and all their employees are gonna get fired, right? Or they
Why
have
do you
to
keep
pay.
going down this route?
Okay, or they have to, or they're gonna, or what they could do is they could raise the price of their goods and services to make up for the loss, right?
That's not gonna work.
I mean, ideally they could do something like that if they could make the money up, right?
Well, yeah, but when you say ideally, that's why I was asking, are you talking about the real world or some
Yes,
sort
the
of
real
ideal
world.
hypothetical?
The real world. Yes,
Yeah, it's not going to work in the real world.
So in the real world,
That's
people
just not
don't
gonna
wait.
work.
In the real world, wait. In the real world, businesses don't raise the prices of their goods and services when the cost of running a business goes up.
Well, not by 20x. No.
Okay, so then you're agreeing with me that they could either raise the prices of their goods and services or they could fire people, right?
In the $100 case, they're not going to survive by raising goods prices.
Okay, so then that's a yes. So
they're just going to go out of business.
Firing people leads to unemployment. Rising prices of their goods of their prices of their goods and services leads to higher prices of goods and services in the market. Which is the exact same thing that we have been trying to tell you will happen when you raise the minimum wage. Now,
that's not the case if the minimum wage is raised by some amount that's actually maintainable. Obviously, if you raise it to $100 and we have some metric in our head of how much that is in comparison to other things in the real world, yeah, at that point, it's not going to be the right price.
Okay, so but let's say we raise it, but what about $15 an hour?
Wait, this is embarrassing. So is all you were getting at the whole time with that was just, well, there is a price that would be too high. No shit. Is that it? Is that what you were trying to convey the whole time?
Obviously you weren't listening because that's not just the point. I mean, it is one of the points, but it's not the point. The point is that we live in a world of scarcity, and when you put on a cost onto a business, they have to make up for that cost.
I mean, what, like...
No. See, so now this is why you're retarded. No, there's not a cost they have to make up for unless the price that you're paying the workers is above how much you'd expect to make back from the benefit of paying those workers more.
Agree to this.
Oh my goodness, you're making my brain hurt.
You fucking agree to this.
Yeah, I make your brain hurt every time I bring up the same point that you fail to understand.
You would literally agree to this.
Look,
okay,
I'll
so listen.
explain it, and this time I know you're gonna understand it.
Okay.
So, let's say that a law is implemented to take minimum wage from $10 to $15. Now, if this law is implemented, the first thought you have in your head is, man, businesses are going to have to spend an extra $5 on a worker per hour. So if we have some spreadsheet of balances on the left side, we have costs. So that's going to add another -5 per worker, right? I would say yes. However,
I have a very simple question for you after this.
Hold on. Now, what's on the other side of the spreadsheet? Well, we have to determine what the pluses are from this other side of the spreadsheet. For one, now that this wage has been set higher, will there be more productivity from the worker? Yes. So now we could add +2 or something. We could also add, will we now have the ability to find people that are able to do this, and that work, since now we're paying them this much? Yes, that's another +1. Are other people who are, under the influence of this law, of course, also getting paid minimum wage, now going to seek out this job since the prices have been normalized between us and the other company who was already paying $15 an hour? Yes, so they're going to flock here, more easily finding compliant workers. That's another +1. When you actually look through the balances and the benefits, it could very well be the case that the business actually ends up making more money overall.
Okay, first off, if all of those things were beneficial from the get-go, you wouldn't need to force businesses to do them. They would just do it on their own.
I explained why they wouldn't actually.
Okay, fundamentally, let's say we raise the minimum wage from $7 an hour to $15 an hour. And do you think that every single business is going to be able to afford to pay every single one of its employees $15 an hour? Quick yes or no.
I don't know. There's not enough context. But anyways,
Wait. So you think? Wait. What context do you need to answer that question?
Well, I need to know a whole hell of a lot of things. What the typical wealth of that region is, the culture, how much money people typically have, what kind of job we're talking about, what business
in
it is.
America, let's say in a normal city in America.
Say it's like what?
A normal city in America. Let's say we raise the minimum wage from $7 an hour to $15 an hour, right? Do you think every single business in that area?
The question.
Do you think every single business?
I could keep going down and trying to figure out what you're asking, but I'm just going to keep asking for more context. But then it's going to make you forget.
It's a very simple question. It's such a simple question. It's so crazy how it's so hard for you to answer such a simple question.
Hold on. I'm going to answer this. Hold on. I'm going to answer this because. Holy shit. Hold on. So I'm happy to answer this, but because I perceive that this question will take forever to get to the details of, I want to quickly respond to something that was said before, because that'll take 2 seconds, and I don't want that 2-second thing to be waiting in line.
You don't want to answer the
like
question because you know it's not going to really make.
I know. I said I'll answer in a second, but I want to respond to something.
I don't care about your other response because I didn't ask you.
I didn't ask with a question at the end so that I can't respond to the nonsense that you gave. So I'm going to go ahead and respond to the nonsense. The nonsense you gave of, well, then businesses would have every reason to raise their workers' wage. I gave 2 explanations as to why that's not the case. For one, the business overall making more money doesn't mean that the decision maker, i.e. the boss, makes more money. How many times do I have to explain that? No. What's
if the business makes more money, then the boss makes more money.
It's what benefits the person at the top, not the workers themselves. The business as a whole, which includes the workers and how much productivity the business is generating, that actually is not.
So you don't think business owners want more productivity out of their workers?
Business owner themselves.
Business owners don't want more productivity out of their workers. Is that what you're saying?
Not if it results in less money in their pocket. No, they don't.
Okay, so then obviously, so then you're agreeing with me that paying your workers more doesn't always mean, that does not necessarily mean that they're going to have a higher productivity. Because that's the whole reason why we're paying workers, because of their productivity.
Wait, hold on. First off, there was never a disagreement on whether there would be more productivity necessarily. It could or could not be, but that's not even related to what I just said.
It's not
what I was talking about is the distinction between the overall productivity, so how much money the business makes versus how much money the boss makes.
Dude,
for example,
you don't get paid based on how much productivity your business makes. You get paid based on how much productivity you bring to that business. You as an individual. That's you don't even know what the hell you're talking about. Fundamentally,
wait. So you don't understand this? Wait. So to be clear, you don't understand.
What did I say that was wrong? Go ahead.
Everything.
So you said that
you don't get paid based on your productivity?
You asked a question and immediately interrupted, so why don't you shut the fuck up?
Yeah, I agree. So to be clear, if you're a boss, right? You're saying that that boss is necessarily, do you know what necessarily means in philosophy before I continue?
Yes.
Okay, so you're saying that the boss will necessarily make more money if the business has more, quote, productivity?
Overall, yes. Generally, yes.
Wait, no, generally is not necessary.
Because they're responsible. See, the thing is, business owners and bosses are responsible for the productivity of the individuals who are under them. So if they're able to increase their productivity while minimizing costs, they will get overtime. They will get paid more, and that's generally how it works. Now, it's not true of every single business and every single situation, but generally that's how it works. You get paid based on your productivity or the productivity you bring.
Just to point out to the chat, this is the most important point, and they still haven't got it. I'm going to explain it so clearly.
Wait, you didn't answer my question. You're just you didn't even answer the question that I gave before.
When I make this point, I'll get back to your question. So here's the point that this guy is missing. What he doesn't understand, maybe because he's never owned a business, I don't know. I do own one, so I understand this very intimately. When we're trying to determine what decisions are going to be made in a business, if those decisions are made by the boss of the business, the boss is going to make the decisions that put the most money in the boss's pocket. Now, what puts the most money in the boss's pocket is not necessarily what maximizes the productivity of the business. I can illustrate this with a very simple example if it wasn't already obvious how. So, imagine that I own an HVAC business. I have 5 workers, right? And I sell about 3 split systems a week, let's say. Okay, cool. I have the productivity of replacing 3 people's air conditioning systems per week, right? And there's a certain amount that I pay my workers, a certain amount of money that I make having only to pay those 3 workers. Let's say I make, $500,000 a year. Let's say I wanted to expand the business. Now I'm selling 40 split systems a week because I bought a bunch of trucks, I have a bunch of workers, right? And I didn't pay the new workers any different amount, I just have more workers. But it turns out that the costs and balances work out such that I'm actually paying my workers so much more than before that despite the fact that I'm also generating a lot more money from the business, my net income is now only $200,000 a year instead of $500,000 a year. That is absolutely possible with the company's productivity going up, with more people having jobs, and the boss now making less money. And this means that the decision maker of the company could actually choose less productivity, less pay for the workers so that they're doing less work, so that the boss makes more money themselves. Do you understand this embarrassingly basic idea?
I get that sometimes there are situations in which companies can create incentive structures that incentivizes the business, the boss to focus on making more money than themselves than generating more productivity for the business. Yes, that does happen sometimes. But obviously, generally, if you're a boss, you aren't getting paid for having less productivity. If you bring in more productivity while having less work being put in, generally you're going to be rewarded for that because businesses want to make more money than what they spend. So the question that I asked for you, which I thrown at you earlier, which was a pretty simple question that it seems like it's really, really hard for you to answer, which is that let's say we raise the minimum wage from $7 an hour to $15 an hour. Do you think that every single business will be able to afford to pay every single one of its employees $15 an hour?
I already said if it's every single one, obviously not all of them. That's like a trivial point.
So those businesses that aren't able to afford to pay every single one of its business employees $15 an hour, what are they going to do to make up for that lost money? What do you think they're going to do?
They could just not hire those workers. Obviously, you don't have enough money.
So
to
there's
pay
going
them.
to be less workers. Okay. What is another thing do you think they're going to do in order to make up that money? They could do to make up that money.
Well, what do you mean by make up? Do you mean like generate enough revenue in the business such that they can now maintain paying a worker?
Yes.
Oh, well, you don't have to have any workers. For example, I, as the boss of my business,
so you
could get back on the field if all my workers were taken away, and I could start selling and installing units myself. And make
you fire people. So you fire
once
people.
I get that money, I could then hire a worker and once again expand.
Okay, so you fire people, or you could raise the prices of your goods and services to make up for that loss, right?
Nope, that will not compete with other companies.
Yeah, so you have to fire people.
So you have to fire people, right?
Yes.
And when you fire people, that leads to higher rates of unemployment, right?
What the fuck am I going to do? Go bankrupt?
Exactly.
If you fire them,
exactly.
then lose their job.
So when you fire people, that leads to higher rates of unemployment, right? That's jobs that would have been there that are no longer there because the state made it forced you to pay people more, right?
The argument is positive externalities, and the root of it. It's not necessarily even like the boss is better off. The reason why this is an issue is the fact is Keynesians argue, or not a Keynesian per se, but when more money's spent, that's better for the economy in general. As in you get paid more, you're spending more at your mall, your local businesses. It's technically theorizing it's better for everyone. The issue is if one company doesn't raise their minimum wage, they're paying the workers less. That means they're taking a greater profit than anyone else. Everyone else is increasing their costs, but you're not, and you're benefiting from everyone else, having workers who have more money to spend more money on your business. Therefore, no one wants to start and be the first one to raise minimum wage. Like, that's the reason why it doesn't work. Not necessarily they're selfish. It's just the fact if no one else does it, there's going to be a freeloader, like the freeloader effect.
So let me ask you a question then, Mike. The guy, don't mean to. Is that how you say your name?
You can say the guy, doesn't matter.
Okay, sorry. So let's say I'm gonna pose a question to you, which is, let's say we raise the minimum wage from $7 an hour to $15 an hour. Do you think every single business is going to be able to afford to pay every single one of its employees $15 an hour?
This is obviously not the case. I mean, the thing is, you could argue maybe what happens once everyone's getting paid more, like it happens instantaneously for some reason, then like, oh, but everyone's exchanging more money. It was already promised and foretold. Hypothetically, I guess it could work. I never see it actually working.
Well, the reason why it doesn't work. Sorry, I just don't mean to interrupt you, but the reason why it doesn't work. Sorry, you go ahead then. You go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say the reason why it doesn't work is because the minimum wage doesn't create jobs. The minimum wage does not create jobs. All it does is make certain jobs illegal. And when you make certain jobs illegal, between consenting adults or private property owners, there's going to be less jobs. That's just how it is.
Incorrect.
Okay, so then explain. Okay. I was gonna say, explain how I'm incorrect. Because fundamentally, the state doesn't create jobs. When you make a law, all you're doing is making jobs illegal. That doesn't create jobs. But
again, to play devil's advocate, it's not a point
I know.
side I'm necessarily on. But some people would argue that, like, well, maybe there will be less jobs, but the other jobs that do exist will be higher quality. Like, most of these people working minimum wage or like the people, or like sometimes they're like younger. So like, well, maybe these younger people don't need the money. It should go to the older people who may have families or trying to start families. And of course, the economy hypothetically is better for everyone. So maybe it's worth having less jobs. You know, if like let's say a family member is making more, they can support more people. Less people may even need to have to work.
Well, this is why I believe women shouldn't work, right? Because you cut the workforce directly in half. You're already because you're quiet, big slump. No, this isn't sexism, right?
Let him go. Let him go.
I believe women have a place in society, like, right? They work in the home, they raise the children, they keep the household. I mean, a woman should know her place as much as a man should know his place. So,
but it just so happens that a man's place is like almost anywhere
at work. At work, right? That's work. But
can we just like
can I argue that?
Like, well, I'm not mean yet. I'm not done yet. I think it's
he unironically believes this sex is bullshit.
Wait. If you are legit, hold on. I am the owner of this Discord. I am the owner of this room. Give me a second.
My point was derailed.
Hold on. I got you. I will let you speak. Just give me 1 second. So long as you're being honest about what you believe, I don't care. Just don't say anything crazy. Okay?
I'm not gonna say anything crazy. Okay.
And you know what I mean by crazy, right? You know what I mean by that.
If you go back and you do the history, right? I know you're an Ancap. I know you like statistics and numbers and things like this. When women entered the workforce, what happened to the supply of workers? The supply of workers went up, astronomically. So what happens to wages when the supply of workers goes up?
They go down.
So if we were to remove a large supply of those workers from the workforce, right? If women, which is probably maybe half of the workforce, maybe 40%, remove that, what happens to the wages for the men?
They go up.
They go way up. They don't just go up.
And what about the other sectors?
Hold on.
You just left.
Can I respond?
Fucking positionless.
Oh, can I respond?
Talking about here.
Do you mind if I respond to this?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll let you go after me if you want. Yeah, technically you are correct, but the issue is that there's a lot of jobs that, like technically those workers will get paid more if you fire like half of the population. It's the same argument you could make for like immigrants. You know what I mean? If we have less immigrants, the people who are here make more money. But there's a flip side to all of this stuff, right? When
feminism.
Well, I'm not making a feminist argument. I guess you could say, but whatever. The argument that I'm making is that there's a flip side to all of this stuff. In order to make up for the fact that they're paying every single male more, they have to then raise the prices of the goods and services in which they are selling. And that means higher prices for everybody, which is actually not good at all. I don't think having lower prices when a whole bunch of people, so like a lot of people are against immigration for the same reason. When you allow a whole bunch of immigrants into the country, they work for a cheaper amount of money.
They're undercutting labor though. Women don't undercut labor.
Yeah,
though.
I agree. In a sense they do in some situations.
Immigrants aren't out there demanding we want equal pay. No, they just want to fucking be able to stay here.
Hold on, let me get back to the point, and then whoever's next can go next. The point that I'm trying to make is that it's not necessarily a bad thing, and the reason why that is because in the flip side, the prices, when a person works for less, the prices that are charged by that business will be much lower, allowing for more cheaper goods and services for more people, which is a lot better than having higher wages but higher prices. When you have lower prices at lower wages, you allow for people who would otherwise not have that money to be able to buy more things. And that actually helps businesses because of economies of scale. That's why you see businesses going out of the way to lower the prices of their goods and services so that they can sell to more people who would otherwise not have that money. When they have that money, when they're able to buy it.
I need to go shop there.
Yeah, so that's why I don't agree that it's a good idea to get rid of women in the workforce, because that is what's going to happen. Go ahead.
If I may, right, I just want to say a couple things, right, and it's okay, right, you've successfully ousted women from the workplace. What about like kind of the industry? Like there, first and foremost, there's a fair amount of industries that are like majority female, right?
Well, yes, those will obviously still stay the same, right? But I'm talking about like the majority of women who like these career.
We not derail into like
hold on, guys.
But only what Eric wants.
Let's let him answer the question. Let's let him answer the question, and then you respond, okay?
No, so
I know
like,
even if his answer might be a little off.
We were having a conversation.
Well, there's obviously those female-dominated fields that have always been female-dominated. Obviously, that's going to be a thing, but that's a very small segment of the overall economy. Those women obviously will still stay in the workforce, but I feel a majority of the women who are in the workforce, the boss babes, the career woman, the corporate ladder lady, those women, honestly, I think would be better off finding a man, getting married, settling down, having a family, and raising kids and creating generational wealth that way.
So when the women like end up having more power than you, that's when you want to take it all away, right? Because that's what it sounds like, right? Well, the second a woman garners any bit of power, right? Because I know the field you're talking about, right?
Oh no, this is biblical.
No, shut up, Eric. Shut up, right? Because you're going to say, oh, for nurses like teaching and nursing, those can stay majority women.
Yeah, the nurture jobs.
And you're going to say because women have always done that, but the reality is you're okay with putting women in those positions, right? Because they don't give any amount of power over you, right? But the second a
nurture
woman exists, they have power over you, and you don't like that, right? Because you think women should work as long as you feel it's okay, right? As long as it's like, oh, well, they can work as long as they're like nurses. Like, dude, come on, you're just a sexist pig.
No, I'm not sexist. I believe a woman's role.
Can I ask a question?
Answer your question.
What about HR women? Like, should women not?
No, HR is a joke. HR is a fake job. Like, just get rid of the shit.
I bet you would think that, Eric. Of course you think
it
that.
is.
So no HR. So no HR.
Wait. Let me just get back to talking
There's companies that operate just fine without fucking human resources.
Let's go back to the fucking Ancap shit. These people are just like trolls. Anyways, so
I'm not a troll. Yeah. What the fuck?
So earlier, yeah, you are. Simmer down. So getting back to the original point there, right? I pointed out that indeed, a boss can make decisions that result in the company having less productivity, less resource production, and the boss make more money. That is something that you agreed is the case, right?
It can be the case.
And not that it's not even just that it can be. It's like easily feasible that such a thing can be the case. And in fact, there's many ways.
That's literally the same thing that I just said.
Yeah, but can be
it's not the same because when
connotation, right?
Can be. You say, well, it can be. That's to say,
as
well,
in it's
all
not,
you know is it's logically possible. It's
no, as in it doesn't
physics.
always happen. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, it doesn't need to always happen, right?
That's why I said it can happen.
On the prevalence, and if you're agnostic on the prevalence, then going back to the original claim you made, right? Because I asked you, do you think that if society had switched to an anarcho-capitalist economic structure, that there would be improved standards of living.
Yes, 100%.
Yes,
100%.
right? Now, standards of living I take to refer to the average living situation of an individual, right?
100%.
And if it's the case that there could very well be bosses just extracting money for themselves and reducing productivity of the economy, which provides less resources to the standard of living, then I don't know why we would say that living in an Ancap society would necessarily, guarantee some better standards of living.
Well, because in a free market, business owners aren't generally the incentive for business owners is to hire people who want to increase the productivity of the workers that are under them. Generally, they don't want to hire people who are going to lower the productivity of the people who are under them. That's why I said, yeah, it can happen, but generally what you're going to see in a free market is business owners wanting to increase the amount of productivity in which they bring in while lowering the amount of costs that they spend. So based on those incentives, I can very easily conclude that if we privatize a majority of the things that the state does, and there's that profit incentive that will then incentivize individuals to increase their productivity while lowering the amount of cost that is being paid for, you will see a general higher amount of living standards for every individual, because increasing the productivity of individuals within an area is the number one way of increasing the higher living standards of those people. That's why people in America are generally are better off than people in somewhere like Uganda. The reason why is because our productivity is immensely higher than a person in Uganda.
Do you know the way?
Do you know the way?
Yeah, but notice how you already started that off by saying, well, generally speaking, they're going to want to increase productivity.
Business owners aren't going to want to lose money. Yes. Generally, yes.
Well, wait. No, hold on. When you say that generally they want that, right? There's two things you can mean. The first thing is you mean
more
they
often
literally
than not
specifically have the motivation for more productivity. That I'm going to disagree with. No, they don't. They have a motivation for more money. Now,
business
the second
owners?
thing you could mean is, hold on. The second thing you could mean is they have a motivation for more money, and that they generally have this strong belief that more productivity is more money. Now, if you're saying that...
But that is right? Fact. I mean, if you have more productivity, you're going to make more money. Like, that is a fact.
I'm just going to continue saying what I was going to say, I guess. Now, if you're saying that, right...
Wait, do you disagree with that? That is a fact,
right? I would say we don't have good reason to believe, right? Is there any empirical data that suggests that, yes, in fact, bosses do want to bolster productivity in the economy so much that it actually is not going to outweigh some desire they have, I don't know, for like money that involves less productivity?
Because business owners, right? Business owners, how much money they make depends on the productivity of their workers. If they don't have productive workers, then their business is not going to make money. So yeah.
I already illustrated earlier how more productivity can result in less money.
You're talking about a boss. I'm talking about a business owner. Those are two different things.
What? No, they're not.
Yes, what? Yes, it is. A business owner and a boss are not the same thing.
Well, if there's a business, right, and you work for that business, the business owner would be your boss.
Not necessarily. I mean, there are such things as managers.
In a weird way, but like,
there are managers
are like your boss, but you don't own the company.
Okay, we're getting caught up in the semantic. Okay, so then what I'm saying is business owners, people who own the business, right? Generally, they want to increase the productivity of their workers while minimizing the costs of running the business. And the reason why that is because people don't run businesses to not make money.
He was trying to speak. His mic is a little muffled.
Excuse me, I'm not finished.
That's fine. Yeah.
So businesses generally aren't just in it to hang out and have fun. They're in it to make more money than what they spend. I mean, that's the whole purpose of running a business.
So I agree. I am pretty free market. But I have like a couple questions. So for one, how do we deal with like, market failures, like externalities, like, inelastic demands, and supply, whatever. Ownership. Usually private property ownership doesn't solve them. That's the problem of externalities, unless you're like giving some Coasian argument. But additionally, do you think in your heart of hearts, like truly are you being real with me, you think people should own nukes? You think that's a good thing to do? So like, these are the two questions.
personally, I don't think anyone should have nukes.
we should privatize nukes.
But the nukes are just a factor.
Given the reality that...
Don't worry, I was going to respond. Don't worry, I was going to respond to that. Don't worry, I'm not going to be scummy. But the reality, I was just going to say what you just were about to say. But the reality is that we do live in a world of nukes. So the idea is like, should the state be the monopoly over nuclear bombs? And I would say absolutely not.
Okay, why?
Well, because the state, I don't believe we should have a state.
Well, I understand you don't think that, but that's begging the question against my argument. My argument is that we should have a state at least to have a monopoly over nukes, which I don't want private people to have.
No, because I don't think the state is very good at
Look, there are better Ancap arguments against this. I can give you the better Ancap arguments against this, but this is like begging the question.
Wait, we were talking about the minimum wage. I'm not really trying to divert to a nukes argument. Respectfully,
I was invited under the pretense of like an Ancap debate, but like
I have a question for the Ancap.
Well, the proposition specifically is that an Ancap society would lead to higher standard of living. That's what they claimed. Because I asked them if they think that's the case.
Well, yeah, when you don't put forceful costs on business owners and don't put barriers or artificial barriers in their way to create wealth, well then yeah, you're going to see more businesses creating wealth because it's easier to create
What if the
wealth.
costs are just accounting for negative externalities?
Well, the thing is, negative externalities could be accounted for through private property rights. So for instance, if you have a person who is polluting and then violating and that pollution is there's like some sort of measurable damage being done to somebody else's property, well then that person could sue that person, and that person would be forced in the court to pay that person for the damage done to that other person's property. See, whereas under the status system, what happens is these private companies go to the government and they be like, hey, I want to pollute, and they be like, hey, yeah, you're allowed to pollute this much, and you're allowed to pollute this much, and if you harm somebody, it doesn't matter because we got your back.
I don't think that's true.
So you plausibly have an argument against
how much government capture.
So whenever you force a business to basically pay for the pollution that they cause onto other people, what you're doing is adding the pollution, that cost of pollution
of course.
Onto that business, and then you basically incentivize them not to pollute as much,
or reduce as much,
or internalizing it, doing it on their own property, so that they don't so they can reduce the cost of running that business, because businesses but the problem as of right now is that they could pollute as much as they want, as so long as the government says it's okay, and they don't have to pay for any of the repercussions.
Okay, so can you make so for one, this applies to negative externalities where you have a basis to sue. This wouldn't apply to positive externalities where there is some untapped social benefit to a behavior that people are not naturally incentivized to do.
Oh well, you could deal with that and with packaging that thing with something else which you're selling. So for instance,
what do you mean?
So for instance, like a road, there could be like an open road, like a lot of, like, for instance, a positive externality would be like a sidewalk in which anyone could walk around in, but somebody has to pay for that sidewalk. So what you could do is you could package that sidewalk with other businesses that are in that area. So you could be like, hey, I'll let you use my sidewalk, but you got to give me a portion of the revenue that you get from the business that is that is nearby that sidewalk in order to pay up the cost of having that sidewalk. And that could be a positive externality. That could be
why would the business pay? They don't receive
because
the
they want to be near the sidewalk. If you want to be so for instance, if you have a road,
what if positive externalities where the person being affected is not businesses or something? Like, let's say they don't have sufficient enough money.
Well, you could package it with something else that you sell in order to
that was your first response.
Yeah, but that would work for both situations. So for instance, if you have a road and you have a bunch of people who can freely drive on it, what you could do be like, hey, have a bunch of business be like, hey, you can advertise your business on the side of my road, and I could use that portion of that money, even though people could drive on the road freely, in order for the upkeep and to make a profit. Or you could be like, hey, we could put your business on the side of this road so that people could drive and use the road, and then a portion of that money can go to the business to keep up with it.
Two questions then. Yeah, so I was assuming, suppose you have a positive externality where, like, the businesses around are not the ones reaping the reward. But the second question is, like, what prevents this from happening right now?
What do you mean, what's preventing thing. This happens right now. Right now.
Why? Okay.
This does happen right now.
To be clear, you think right now all positive externalities are internalized currently?
I don't know what you mean by internalized.
You just used the word earlier. How do you not know what it means?
Well, internalized as in the only people who are being affected are the people who are the ones that are giving up the service.
Internalized is when there is some social benefits to an externality, to a positive externality, or negatives if it costs to a negative externality, and you're getting that cost to be reflected in the exchange between the parties involved.
Could you give me an example of that?
Yeah, you gave it, right? Like suppose you pollute a river and then it affects a third party, the guy drinking from the river down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Now if they're suing you, now it's a cost that is reflected in your balance sheet, right? So that externality is internalized. Now it is part of your calculation.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a benefit, right, then we would want to, so you're saying, so suppose there was a benefit, like for example, classic example is education, right? When you educate people, they benefit a bunch of other people that are not involved. Like, for example, once you create a doctor, they're going to save the lives of maybe even people that don't exist yet. And so there's more benefit than just the benefit to the doctor and the benefit to me, the university guy, because it helps a bunch of other people that don't even exist yet. So we want to internalize that externality somehow. We want that to be reflected somehow. And a good way to do that is subsidize education with money, but that's government, that's evil. So I wonder how you do it, and if you think it's already internalized, because I'll tell
you could have charities do that, take up that role.
Why? They don't benefit?
Yes, they do. But charities benefit all the time.
Wait, how would a charity benefit here? On behalf of people that don't exist yet?
On the people that exist now that will create that benefit in the future.
So wait, to be clear. So the second question is what I'm interested in answering. Do you think that's already the case? Like, do you think that's already internalized? And if not, why not?
Well, no, because we don't have a full system of private property rights in which...
Why would we suddenly have all these charities? Like, is it illegal right now to open a charity like that?
No, it's not illegal, but the state is forcefully extracts our wealth in order to pay for their charity works. And
so
when you forcefully... excuse me, I wasn't finished.
Go for it.
So basically, when you forcefully extract wealth from people in order to pay for the government's welfare program, they're going to have a lot less money to pay for welfare programs that they want to put their own money into. So yeah, obviously, like when
a lot of the things that the government spends money on, where if it were to be privatized, people would just be buying them privately. So why are we just assuming?
Yeah, so I'm not clear. Yes, and as I was saying, I'm not clear. So if you're claiming
they wouldn't be paying for all the things. I want to finish. They wouldn't be paying for all the. Wait, he had an argument for me. He literally had an argument for me. I am going to respond to that argument.
Go for it. Fucking struggle. Okay, go for it.
Anyways, so fundamentally, fuck, you made me lose my fucking train of thought. Go ahead.
Just because it can happen.
That's right. Maybe let me finish.
People do it voluntarily doesn't mean you can force them to. Okay, you can't force a person to drink water.
Oh yeah. Also, there's a lot of things that the government forces us to pay for that I don't want.
I agree. No one said otherwise.
So I could have used that money to pay for charity.
Look. I agree. So you said. Wait, Coco, just 1 second. So you said these charities would profit. That is, you're telling me right now there is a profit opportunity that the charities know about and could potentialize right now or actualize right now.
And they do right now.
But somehow they don't. The government has nothing to do with it. You're telling me, oh wait, let me finish. You're telling me there is this positive externality that can just waiting to be internalized. If only the government reduced taxes. Like, why would the government reduce the taxes or doing less, make the charity even more incentivized to capitalize on it? Because government is evil. That's a good answer. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, they are evil. They forcefully extract our wealth.
That's not the question. That would be a good answer if that was the question. It isn't.
It was like talking about like, does like a charity actually like get any value?
So wait, I just want a quick yes or no to this question. Do you not believe that charities exist? Wait, you don't believe that? Do you not believe that charities exist?
I believe charities exist.
Okay, so then you answered your own question. There you go.
No, I believe there are some types of benefits that charities don't get. Like,
okay, so I would argue that I'd rather have charities, and the reason why that is because with a charity, right, you don't have to pay them, but with a tax, you're forced at gunpoint to pay for it.
Wait. Okay. So this is a different argument. You told me the debate proposition was the well-being would be higher in Ancap society. Before we're talking about the morality of like, oh, you're no coercion or whatever. We're right now talking about standard of living. I'm demonstrating to you that there's potential welfare benefits that cannot be tapped into by private charity. You can make the case that tapping into them with government is immoral. That's quite different than talking about. That's quite different than talking about the welfare effect.
Yeah, but welfare is extremely. What do you call it? When they waste a whole bunch of resources. What is that word?
I agree. A lot of so when I say welfare, I don't mean
it's inefficient.
I mean, let me finish, bro. You cannot.
What? I got the word. I got the word, and then I just go.
Okay, I get it. You found the word inefficient after a minute. I get it, but let me finish. So I'm saying when I say welfare, I don't mean government checks or whatever. I mean it in the economic sense of like well-being, right? Like when you look up welfare economics, it's economics of well-being. It's not economics of like government, like
No, I get what you're saying. What I'm saying is that if we lowered welfare and had more private charity, we would have more better off people.
When I'm told, I don't know why you're look. I want to talk to you, but you gotta let me finish. So when we are talking about the well-being would be higher in Ancap society, I'm just talking, when I say welfare, I'm just talking about well-being. So when I say that there is I can demonstrate to you an amount of welfare that can be tapped into with government that private charities possibly don't have a rationale to tap into and internalize, you cannot respond to me by saying, "Oh well, but it's immoral for government to tax." Like maybe or maybe not, but right now
I can make the argument that it would be the reason why private charities would be better is because the state is much more inefficient than private companies at allocating scarce resources.
Okay, yeah, great. So then we can have that debate, and I just think that's empirically beyond false. But also, I want to ask another
calculation
question.
problem. Go ahead.
I can ECP has nothing to do with this. If you read ECP, it's not the government. Let me finish. If you read ECP, if you read Hayek, they did not say, "Oh, all welfare is bad." Hayek literally advocated welfare. So definitely you're misinterpreting what the ECP is about. ECP is about eliminating the entire price system.
Mises it's not about was the one that came up with the economic calculation problem.
I'm well aware. That's why I cited him. That's
not Mises. Presumably, Hayek.
Hayek
also developed the knowledge problem, which is very close.
Yeah, but also Hayek literally references.
I'm well aware. Yeah. Hayek was literally a student of Mises, but I would love to finish. I would really love to finish. So the second argument I want to talk about is if we're talking about just about welfare effects, not about like the morality of taxation or whatever, then
I've made that argument already.
I understand. We have examples of taxes that demonstrably don't have a deadweight loss. For example, a land value tax. Why? It also has philosophical grounds that are pretty strong. But right now, we're just talking about the welfare effect. Then why would the land value tax be wrong for like welfare effects if it has no deadweight loss?
Well, because you're stealing money that would have been going to something that would have made them better off, but that is now being spent on something that the government thinks would make other people better off, and that always leads
to more. It demonstrably has no deadweight loss, so I don't.
Depends. No, that's not true. That really depends on what the state is spending that money on. Just because you make a lot of money from tax revenue doesn't make it efficient. It depends on what you mean.
Deadweight loss is not dependent on your spending. Deadweight loss is not dependent on your spending. Deadweight loss is not dependent on your spending. What are you talking about?
Good government.
I don't know why this guy's talking over me, but deadweight loss is not dependent.
He just does that. Just ignore him.
It's a good government that justifies government. That's your whole argument.
I know. You're very quiet, man. I don't know, man. I cannot help you.
Oh, Prax, your microphone needs to be up. Turn it up a little bit.
Maybe not. Maybe it's good that way. But look. So I'm saying.
Don't be mean to my boy. Don't be mean to my boy. All right.
Maybe I'll be mean. I don't know. So look. Demonstrably, land value taxes do not have deadweight loss, and deadweight loss is not related to your spending. So I'm just saying, what
do you mean by deadweight loss?
You don't know.
What do you mean by that?
Whatever. Deadweight loss is a welfare reduction due to an imposition of a tax or subsidy or whatever.
Welfare reduction?
Yeah. You ever drew a supply-demand curve ever in your life?
No, I'm an Austrian.
I just posted in the chat.
Austrians also use supply-demand curves, but that's okay. Look, I'd much rather talk to an Ancap as like a Friedmanite or whatever, but Austrians are another thing.
Listen, brother, anyway, you joined my room. You joined my fucking room. If you, I clicked the link. I'm looking at it. Okay, and now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, dead weight loss. I mean, it's a thing you can.
Okay, but fundamentally, whenever you forcefully extract wealth from somebody, that's money that would have been spent on something that that person actually wanted, but is now being spent on something that the government wants. That doesn't always necessarily mean it's a higher value.
No, I agree that when you tax someone, you're taking money from them that they otherwise would have had. I'm just saying we can demonstrate that the land value tax does not reduce and it doesn't harm any productive activity. It doesn't reduce the amount of quantity supplied or demanded.
Yes, it does, because you're. What about the person that you're taking that money from?
It's still profitable for them to hold land.
Huh?
Yeah, it is in the future.
Wait. You know what? So again, if you never heard about the concept of dead weight loss, so you draw a supply-demand curve, right? And then they meet at equilibrium. I know you're Austrians, but also keep in mind, Austrians also use supply-demand curves. They don't reject all theory. Maybe some of them do, but whatever. So you draw the lines, then you impose a tax or a price control or whatever you want, subsidy, whatever. And then you can demonstrate that the triangles that represents the welfare of consumers and producers, actually the area is smaller. That means there's less total welfare. However, some taxes, for example, land value tax, don't have that. There is no reduction in welfare because the supply of land is inelastic. You cannot create more land. And so thus, land value tax is, has no dead weight loss. It doesn't harm productive activity. So yeah, of course,
it does harm productivity.
You're not taking from the land
because you're taking money from the people who own that land, and that's money that could have been used.
Money from the people who own the land. You don't reduce the amount of stuff produced. Yeah, there is no production.
No, you take the money.
There's no negative. Look. The people who own land don't produce that land. So look. The reason why tax. So suppose we have a pencil factory. If I impose a tax on,
let Prax Germany go. Let Prax Germany go, please.
I don't know why Prax Germany should go if he's speaking over me. You don't get to go if you speak over someone. Imagine we have a factory of pencils and I impose a unit tax on pencils. The reason why pencils are going to get more expensive and we're going to have less pencils produced is because now I reduce the supply. I increase the marginal cost of pencil creation, and therefore I'm going to get less supply and higher prices for it. That's not the case with land because land is not produced. There is a fixed amount. It's inelastic. Therefore, there is no dead weight loss in it. You go for it.
Doesn't matter. You're still taking money away from other people.
I didn't deny this. Do you think I said that? Do you think? Wait, to be clear. You think my argument? You think my argument about the land value tax? Wait, I want to get a yes or no. I want to get a yes or no. You think that when I said a land value tax doesn't have a dead weight loss, you think I meant to say it doesn't take money from anyone? You think I've said that?
No, that's not. No.
Okay, so you're responding to something I didn't say. Can you respond to something I said?
I think you're just justifying government. Your whole argument is that the government is good because it plans good.
Prax, you're not tracking. You're not tracking at all. You admitted that I didn't mean, or I didn't intend, or it wasn't part of my intention to communicate that I think a land value tax doesn't take money from anyone. So you're replying that it takes money from someone is not responsive to what I said. Can you respond to what I said?
With what you're saying.
This guy. Ancaps are not sending their best. There are good Ancaps out there, okay? This is not...
It just repeated.
I could very easily answer. The argument you were making was that it doesn't harm the productivity of the individuals within that area because because land is not inelastic. But what we're arguing is that it does, and the reason why it is because you're taking money from another person who lives on that land. That's productivity that they earned that is no longer in their pocket because it was taken by the state.
Yeah, but they cannot. It's not like they're going to produce. So when you do it to a pencil factory,
it doesn't matter.
But I don't know why you're saying no. It doesn't matter when I didn't finish the argument. But so imagine, for a second, Coco, the person here, or are they not here anymore? Yeah, they're here. So imagine they have a pencil factory, and I tax the creation of pencils now. Now, yeah, I do take money from them, but also I increase the marginal cost of producing pencils, and so they're going to produce less of them. You cannot produce less land. There's a fixed amount of land. So by taxing land, yeah, you take money from the person who owns the land. I said that a million times, but you're not creating less land there. You don't harm production that way. So you get the same amount of.
How does that person make money? How does that make money? How does that person make money?
Collecting rent. It's rent. Rent is an amount of money received.
And how does that person make money? How does that person pay the rent?
What do you mean? How does that person pay the rent?
How does that person pay the rent? They produce things,
Landlords
right?
don't pay rent.
They produce them. They
What do
produce
you mean?
things. Hold on. They produce
Yeah,
things.
they produce things.
And then
Yes.
that money is then used to pay the owner. And then that portion of that money
Yeah.
is then stolen by the state. That's productive activity that is being
That's not-
taken by
you
the
get the
state.
same amount of
That is
retarded.
productive
That's
money that is being
that's
taken
most
by the
retarded
state
thing. That's the
and
biggest
spent
help I've
on
ever
things
heard.
than which
Hey,
the
that's
state
retarded.
wants.
Yeah, that's retarded. That's retarded, and I can explain why. I can explain why.
you-
For two reasons. I can explain why that's retarded for two reasons. What? For the first reason is that has nothing to do with the amount of stuff produced. When you talk about the amount of production, that has
Doesn't
nothing to
matter.
do with the fact that they got the money from. Let me finish. It doesn't matter that they got the money from a tenant. The tenant produces the same amount of stuff, so there is no efficiency harm. What I was saying is, when you tax pencils, you get less pencils. When you tax land, you don't get less land because there's a fixed amount of land. And just to make a parity argument, I wouldn't make the retarded argument that abolishing the state would create less things because it collects its taxes from people who produce stuff, and therefore by eliminating its revenue, you get less stuff. Right? That's the parity argument of what you made, but now that's clearly retarded. So it also works. It's also as retarded to talk about landlords that way.
Landlords get money through productive from people who are productive. If you take that money out of their hands, right, money in which they would have spent on something which would have created more productivity, that is lowering productivity.
I don't know how to explain this to you again, but the landlords get their money from tenants, but the landlords didn't get the money by producing something.
Yeah, but those wait, where did the tenants but the tenants get that money from producing
But you
things?
the tenants don't work any less with a land value tax. The reason why taxing
Yeah, but
pencils
they have less
is
money
under-
because
Let
it's being
me
stolen
finish,
by the state.
Let me finish. I don't know why you're so confident when you didn't know. Wait, you didn't even know about the concept of deadweight loss until 5 minutes ago. So let me finish. Please let me finish. Wait. Coco, let me finish. So please. You didn't know about the concept of land value tax until deadweight loss until 5 minutes ago. So please be less confident. So I'm just saying.
You're wrong.
The reason why taxing I'm 100% right. You asked me what it is. You didn't know what it is. But
You're wrong.
so you asked me. Gotcha. So you asked me. I'm sorry. So I demonstrated that like taxing pencils creates less pencils because it's less profitable for the pencil maker to create them. Right? You increase the marginal cost, they're going to produce less. There is no increase in marginal cost when you do or there is, but like it doesn't affect the supply of land because the supply of land is inelastic. When you tax land, you don't get any less land. So the landlord faces the same incentives, and the tenants produce no less. So the tenant's efficiency doesn't get harmed; they produce just as much, and the landowner cannot produce less because there's a fixed amount of land. So there is no efficiency harm. You're just making shit up. You're saying
There
stuff
is an
that doesn't make
efficiency
any sense.
harm because in order to make up for that lost revenue, the business, the person who owns the land will have to charge higher for the rents in which they are charging onto to the person
It
who
will
is
not-
being
it will not- I
productive,
just explained why it
thus
will not.
increasing,
I
thus
just explained why it will not.
lowering the potential productivity of those individuals. See, it's very, very simple. When you forcefully extract wealth from somebody, that person has to make up that money somehow, and how they do that is taking money from people who are productive. So then you do lower the productivity.
Why would they raise prices on the tenants?
Yeah,
To make up for the money that was being taken from them.
Wait. Again.
By the state.
So here's why. Wait. Here's very quickly. I sent a good video in chat for people who want to learn more. I think that's where I got the pencil analogy from. But here is a very clear explanation of why this is the most retarded shit I've ever heard. If you're telling me they could get the same amount of tenants if they just increase prices because of the land value tax. Well, let me tell you, landlords already profit maximize. So the amount of current rent is already the maximum amount of rent they could extract from their tenants. If they could just bump up the prices and get the same amount of customers, they would already do that. So the land value tax does not increase rent prices, and this is empirically proven too.
Yeah, incorrect. So whenever you force a business to pay more for anything, they have to make back that money somehow. And generally, how they do that is by either not.
Generally, notice how you're saying generally.
The reason why
they do that.
this
Generally,
is a misunderstanding.
excuse me, I
Yeah, this
didn't
is a
interrupt you.
misunderstanding.
Now you're getting all upset.
You absolutely did. But go
You
ahead.
interrupted him multiple times.
So
Yeah, everyone.
when
heard it.
when you force a cost onto a business, that cost has to make up somehow. They have to either charge more for what they're selling, or they have to sell less of what they're selling in order to make up for that cost. And that also goes for people who are renting too.
Exactly.
When you force a business, when you force a
Except
person
it's
who
not
is
your question.
renting, when you force a business, a person who is renting to somebody to pay more for a tax, they have to pass those costs on to the people who are paying them for that service.
Awesome.
So
So,
if
so let's
I'm
walk
selling
through the
something-
Econ 101. So I love it when
Oh,
NCAPs don't know Econ 101. So imagine we have a pencil market. Again, I'm just giving pencils because they're
Yeah,
a
you
good
could
that
keep
is
repeating
elastic.
yourself 100 times over, and I'm going to give you the
You're
same
not-
answer.
What was I going to say? What was I going to say? What was I
Oh,
gonna say?
that there's the marginal utility of the land is not going to go down because of blah 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 blah.
No.
Like, you're going to explain the
No,
same
no,
thing,
no,
and
no.
I'm going to give you the
You're
same
very
answer.
confused. So first of all, it's marginal cost, not marginal utility. You're confusing concepts. But
Whatever.
second, that's not what I was going to ask. That's not what I was going to ask. Yeah, whatever. I know you don't care about accuracy. So I was going to ask you, why can't pencil makers already bump up the price, right? When I tax them, they increase the prices. Why can they not already do that, right? But without the tax, if they can increase the prices and get more profit, why wouldn't they do that?
Well, because
They
then
can't.
there
The
will be
reason why
less.
taxes increase
less-
prices. The reason why taxes increase prices is by reduction in supply, not by making just like people roll it onto the consumers. The reason why taxes increase prices.
I was
is
going to
because the
answer,
supply
but you
curve
didn't want to
shifts
hear
to
the
the left.
answer.
To the left.
Rhetorical.
I don't. So it's because the supply curve shifts to the left. However, or I should rather say shifts up. But the reason why that's or down. But the reason why that's not the case with land value tax, it's because it's inelastic. You cannot shift it. There's a fixed amount of land. So the landlords cannot produce less land, like you said, right? They're going to produce less. They cannot do that. And they already extract the maximum amount of rent from tenants because they would do that with or without the tax. And so therefore necessarily a land value tax does not increase rents.
Wait,
Oh,
you're saying
well, but they
my landlord charges me the maximum amount of rent, even though he raises the rent every single fucking year? Like,
Yeah, so
It
the reason
changes
why
year
this is
to year
wrong.
because the amount. Wait. I'm responding. They made. You wanted to respond when someone made a claim against you. I'm going to respond to them as well. So the reason why that's retarded is I'm not talking about year to year. I'm talking about in a given time moment. In a given time moment, yes, the landlord extracts as much rent as they expect to be able to. When they increase the rent year to year, that's because the conditions change. But given the same conditions, they do extract the maximum amount of rents they can.
All right, so I'm gonna put this
so
very
the
simply.
conditions are changing. The conditions have been changing every year for the past 6 years.
Yes, bro. Stuff
Yeah.
changes. I know that's hard to
Okay,
grasp.
so
Yes,
this,
stuff
I'm gonna put
changes.
this very simply.
Bro,
When you
bro,
raise the
you're telling
price,
me, you're telling me,
when you
you're
raise the
telling me
price-
reality changes. You're telling me
yeah,
stuff
so
changes.
when you raise
Bro,
the price of a good or service in order to make up for that lost revenue, business owners have to basically make up that lost cost by raising the price of the good and service being sold, or by selling less of that good or service. The same thing goes to people who are
and they can
selling a
sell
house.
less
So
land, right?
whenever
And they
you
cannot
force,
sell
whenever
less
you
land.
whenever you
Wait,
whenever
they
you
cannot-
whenever you whenever you raise the price, when you raise the cost of the of running that business, which would be raising the taxes on that business, they will then either pass the cost of that lost revenue onto the people who are buying that service, or they will just not sell that service. That's why when you raise the cost
How do you
of
sell less land?
that's why when you raise the cost of rent control, that's when you see even higher prices for rent, or you see less housing around. So that's generally the.
Okay, so I explained already. You said I agree. When you tax pencils, you get less pencils and the price is higher because you harm supply. They produce less pencils. However, and I said this 50 times.
Yeah, but
everyone heard me
housing
say it
is
by now.
something that can be
I didn't
produced.
say housing. I said land. I didn't say housing. I said land.
Yeah, but
So
people
the
don't
reason why
just
that's
buy
not- I
land
don't
for
know
no
why
reason.
you're talking over me.
People
I
don't
don't
just
look.
buy
Look,
land
look,
for no
either-
reason.
look. You can either bitch about me interrupting you or not interrupt me. Like you cannot do both. Okay.
Go ahead.
So or
This is
interrupt me. Yeah. So,
I mean, this is my room,
I know,
by the way,
I know it's his room, but it doesn't mean you can interrupt other people. Like,
No, it
whatever.
does.
I mean, it does actually, but okay.
Then
Go
I'll
ahead.
just leave. That's okay. But
I mean, if
Then
you're
leave.
gonna be a child,
Then you
yeah,
leave.
you go ahead.
You can go.
Oh my
You're
God!
more than welcome to
Let
go.
him speak. Shut up. Let him speak.
If you don't
Yeah,
like that
that's
we
right,
can't
that's
have
right.
a genuine conversation, you can just leave.
That's what you sound like, Sithis.
I mean, you can
right,
just
that's
leave
right.
if you don't like being here. You
I
can just go.
can't just leave. I know.
Okay.
You can have like a whites only room, and I can leave if I'm black.
is
All
I
right,
get
so
it.
then quit complaining,
libertarian,
make your
like,
argument, or quit complaining.
You've been
I'm not-
complaining.
I'm-
Now that's base
Yeah.
sample.
That's right. It is based. Either way. So I was saying that's not the case with landlords because there is a fixed amount of land. They cannot supply less land because there's a fixed supply. So therefore, it does not increase the rent prices, and we have empirical evidence to even confirm this too. It's like every economist has been agreeing to this. It's only like dumbass Austrians and socialists that don't get this.
And to clarify the
Yeah, so the problem with that, so the problem is that when you add a cost, when you add a cost to a business, they have to make up that money, right? And the way that they do that is by either not selling that service, selling less of that service, or raising the prices of the goods or services in which they're selling.
How do you sell less lands with this? How do you
Sell
sell
less? What you could do is you could. So when it's a service, the rent, what you're doing when you're renting to somebody, you're selling a service. What you could do is you could just say, I'm not going to sell you or rent you my house. That's how you do it. Yeah, exactly. That's my exact point. When you force a cost onto... Well, hold on. Don't interrupt me. I'm not finished. So when you force a cost onto a business, they have to make up for that cost. They can make up that cost by not selling the good, or they can make up the cost by charging more for the goods or services being produced. That is why when you raise taxes on business owners, people who are selling a good or a service, they end up either charging more for their goods or service, or they're unable to sell their goods or service because they can't make up for the cost of the added value of the tax. So fundamentally, that's why whenever you add a tax onto anything, the business that is selling the goods or service has no choice but to either not sell it or raise the price of the goods or services. And renting is also a service that is being sold to other people. So if you are renting a house, even though there isn't a finite amount of land, there is a finite amount of housing too, which also means that if the person who is selling that house is on that house doesn't have the money to make up for the cost of running that business, well then they are going to have no choice but to raise the cost of what they're selling.
So,
correct. So how does that explain my rent going up $100 every year?
I just realized that by even
services. That's because the cost of the goods and services within your area have gone up, and because of that, the people who own the land within that area have no choice but to pass those costs onto the individuals who are within that area.
Property tax increases has something to do with it. I think the increase in property tax.
Well, it could have an effect. It could either be the property tax or it could be the other external factors.
So I just realized, one, that by even arguing against you, I'm proving the epidictic truth of libertarianism.
Hold on, do not interrupt him. Please do not interrupt him.
Yeah.
Please do not interrupt him, please.
I just realized that by even arguing against you, I'm proving the apodictic truth of libertarianism. So I take back everything I said. That's a reference, but whatever. The second argument is, again, for the millionth time. Do you agree that taxing land does not decrease the supply of land? Do we agree to that? Because there's a fixed supply of land?
No, but it increases the cost of running that
land. No, you don't agree to that? What?
No, I said I agree, but no. I agree, but what it also does is increases the cost of running that land. And if you increase the cost of running that land, they have to make up that money somehow. And the way they usually do that is by raising the prices of the things in which they're selling on that land.
No. Before you go there, don't anticipate my argument. First, do we agree it doesn't reduce the supply of land? Do we agree with that? You don't agree that it doesn't. It doesn't. You don't agree that?
No, I said I don't disagree.
You said. I said, do we agree? Not do we disagree?
I don't disagree.
I asked, do we agree?
He's telling you what he thinks. All right, so go.
I'm telling you I agree. I'm telling you I agree. I'm being very clear.
I get it now. I'm just saying. The question was, do we agree? So saying no implies
whatever.
I get it. So, we don't disagree that it doesn't reduce land value, land supply. Now, explain to me how a landlord can increase the amount of rent on tenants in a way that he couldn't before, given a land value tax. How can he not do that?
Because the cost.
How can he do that? My bad.
Because the cost of running that business is now higher than it was before. So in order to make up for that loss,
it doesn't matter.
So in order to make up for that loss, they have to either charge more for the service in which they are selling, or they cannot sell that on that service at all.
Wait. So please play it out in practice. So imagine you're the landlord on the tenant.
Okay.
On the tenant.
I'm gonna lower
it's
this
the first. It's the first. It's January. Yeah. Not me, right?
Not you, Eric, right? Merrick, and whoever his name is.
Yeah. Let me mute them as well. Can you mute people in your room or no?
I don't know how.
You long press on your on their profile.
Simple text it's illegal to
are you on your computer?
In
yes.
NPCs. You can turn them
so
down.
you right click on their profile and then it should have a drop down where one of them is server mute.
Okay.
Unless you cannot.
It doesn't say server mute, but I can mute him on my end.
Yeah, whatever.
If you scroll
don't do it. That's
Hold on, guys, one at a time. I can't.
Yeah, I'll tell you how to do it now.
So I was saying, so please let's play it out in practice. Imagine it's January 2025, and you're a landlord. I'm a tenant, and you want to charge your rent. So I'm saying the most I can pay is 1,000. You say okay, you pay 1,000. Now, Mr. Evil Socialist, whatever liberal, does a land value tax. Your cost increases. Instead of paying 500 to maintain the, you pay, let's say 600. Please explain to me how you can now charge me more than 1,000 magically. How does the fact that you get it tax land means that you can charge me more in a way that you couldn't before in January? Please explain that.
Because your cost increased. So
why would the costs matter to the amount of rent that the tenants can pay?
Because the cost you have to make up for that cost that is being put onto you.
I agree the landlord would want to increase rents more, but explain why the tenant. Explain why. So suppose after I do the tax, you now charge me 1,000. Let me. It's so simple. I agree it's simple, but it's not in the way you want it to be. So let's say it's January, you charge me 1,000 in rent. Now we have a land value tax. So now you somehow increase my rent to 1,010 or 1,100, 1,100. Okay. Mm-hmm. Explain to me how you couldn't just ask me to pay 1,100 in rent a month before. Why was that not an option for you?
Well, because if you raise your price...
No, let them answer. What?
You want me to answer?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So the reason why it was before is because business owners generally want to lower their prices to the lowest that they are able to get away with, so that they could get more people to buy the service.
Compete with others.
But if you
insofar as they compete with others.
Yes, but if you force a cost onto that business, then they have no choice but to raise their prices in order to pay for that good, despite the fact that they have, the fact that they could make more money charging less. And the reason why that is because when you
This is very wrong. So you got the incentive backwards.
Hold on, you're not allowing me to answer the question.
Yeah. Maybe go ahead. Okay. Wait, maybe you can ask me after. Maybe go ahead. Finish. Yeah.
So again.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like you don't even really want to hear it. You just want to hear yourself talk. That's really what it is.
The supply of drugs is elastic. So this is not analogous. The supply of land is elastic.
I have our American muted. So
I muted them.
Eric's the one that's been talking.
I want to talk to Siri. I want to talk to the person because they seem serious, but I don't care about the drug analogy.
No, listen, Eric, mute Eric. Mute Eric.
Yeah, I did. So look, I'm asking you. You got the incentive backwards for the Ancap guy. You got the incentive backwards. Businesses want to charge as little as possible, not as an intrinsic incentive. It's an action they do only insofar as they face competition, which means the supply they are rival with. But we just agreed the land
renters let me finish.
We just agreed that the supply of land is fixed, so they don't face any more or less competition.
Yes, they do.
Let me
That's
finish.
Not true.
Let me finish. So we just agreed that the supply of land is fixed. It doesn't change when you do the land value tax, and so they don't face any more or any less competition. I'm asking
not true.
Do we agree that all else equal? Businesses want to charge as much as they can? Yes or no?
Not true.
No, that's retarded. You're retarded.
They still have to compete with the other.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily true.
Business is always going to try to make the most.
Okay. Do you want to, guys? All right. I'm gonna mute any person that speaks as I'm speaking. All right. Because now you guys are, and now you guys are starting to fucking annoy the shit out of me. Because every time that you guys ask me a question, you guys don't allow me to speak. So it must be one person at a time. So anyways, fundamentally, generally businesses don't just want to charge as much as they want to, because if they do that, as much as they can, because if they do that, they will lose customers. So if they lose, if they lose customers, they're not going to charge as high as they can.
I said all else equal. I said all else equal. Did you listen?
What do you mean all else being equal?
What you can? If I use the term you don't understand, you can just ask me what it means before answering.
But I couldn't because everybody was speaking over.
All else equal? No one was speaking over you. You just fumbled on your own volition. Okay, but that's okay. That's okay. Many people do that. So all else equal means that other constants are the same. So the amount of customers they face is the same. The amount of competition they face is the same. The amount of taxes they face is the same.
Well, then, yeah, if they could get away with charging more, then yeah, they will. Yes.
Of course, great. Now explain to me why they can get away with charging more from the tenant now that there's a land value tax.
Because there's competition.
There's the same amount of competition because we just agreed the supply of land is fixed. So
no, there is competition. I can explain why there is. I can explain there is. I can explain. You're not letting me explain.
Let me finish.
I'm going to lower your volume if you don't allow me to explain.
You're not letting me finish. You cannot lower people's volume.
Then finish and allow me to explain.
You interrupted. Everyone heard you interrupt me. You're not gonna. It doesn't make you look good.
Make your argument so I can explain why you're wrong. Go ahead.
I will if you don't interrupt. I will if you don't interrupt.
Go ahead. Hurry up.
So explain to me. Yeah, we said what changed. We said all else equal. So we did agree that all else equal, 1,000 is the amount of money they could get away with in January. Now we have a land value tax. Why then? What changed such that they now can get away with charging 1,000? Why could they not charge 1,100?
Because of competition.
What changed? They face the same amount of competition. The supply of land is fixed.
That because there's a higher charge, because there's a higher cost of running the business. If there's a higher cost of running the business, they have to make up for that money being lost.
The cost of the business, that's a supply side concern. Prices, right? Prices are determined also by the demand. We agree that the supply of land is fixed, so the supply side is fixed. The demand side is the same whether you have a tax or no. Renters will be still willing to pay the same amount. So why? Look, it doesn't make sense to say, you're a tenant, you want to rent from me? Okay, I'll charge you 1,000. Oh, wait, but now my costs increase. I'm charging you.
Yeah, but that's what
happens. Why could I just not say, oh, I'm charging you 1,100 to begin with?
Because of competition.
Why is that not a thing?
Because of competition.
What competition changed? What competition changed? What competition changed?
Please, okay. So with the land value tax, you're adding 10%, let's say just 10% on everybody's prices.
Right.
And if you would charge 1,000 or like $100 plus, you'd still have the competition because other people wouldn't have.
Why could they not charge 100 plus before the tax?
Because that cost wasn't there beforehand.
Look. Landlords don't charge from their tenants based on the costs they face. They charge from the tenants as much as they think the tenant will be willing to pay. It has nothing to do with their costs.
Yeah, but
it has to do with the willingness of the tenant.
But that cost does affect. But that cost affects how much that they could charge before they start to lose money. Right?
I agree. I agree before they lose money.
Okay, so if you increase the cost of what they sell, they're going to charge more in order to make up for that lost revenue, correct?
Holy shit. Let me finish. So you're positing that it's only landlords who will face a loss. So I'm going back to my analogy. If your costs per month are $500 to maintain an apartment, and I'm a tenant, and you charge me $1,000, that means you run a $500 profit a month. If we now have a land value tax that makes your costs $600, you still run a profit. So it's not a loss for you.
But you're making less profit.
Loss for you.
It is a loss because you're making less profit.
I agree you're making less profit.
That is a loss.
I agree you're making less profit. Let me finish.
You're making $100 less dollars than you had before.
Let me finish. Retard. Let me finish.
So how do they make it back up? How do they make that money back?
Let me finish.
How do they make that money back?
I was saying, look, you gotta let me finish. So I'm saying a landlord, the way they set a price is there are two conditions. One, it needs to be profitable for them. That is, the profit is above zero. And two, they want to extract as much money, as much rent from the tenant as possible.
Okay.
Given that both with and without the tax, the exchange is profitable for them, the first condition is met, they now face the question of how much can I extract from the tenant? And that does not depend on the land value. The tenant will be willing to pay the same amount of maximum rent with or without the tax. It doesn't affect their willingness to pay. Their WTP.
Yes, it does.
No, it does not. No, it does not.
If you increase the cost of running a business and you're
lowering... Look, this is not even a debate.
Okay, now you gotta let me finish. You gotta allow me to finish, dude. You gotta let me finish. If you increase...
He's been interrupting every time.
If you increase the cost of running a business, right, those businesses have to make up for that lost revenue. For having renting to somebody is a business. So yeah, if you increase the taxes, they're gonna have to make up that money somehow.
Wow,
so
we're going
how
in
are they going to
circles.
make that money
This is
back?
awesome.
Well, what they do is they charge more for their services. Very simple, very easy.
Why could they? You're telling me there's this business, and they could just suddenly get $100 more in revenue, but they somehow could not get that $100 before the tax. I'm asking,
because
why was
before
there
there was no
$100
tax.
available
Because
for them
before
to
there was
charge?
no tax.
Why was there?
Because
could
before
they
there was
not
no
charge-
tax.
Look,
I'm answering your question.
No, you're not letting me finish. I didn't even ask my question.
You did ask the question.
So I'm saying, no, I didn't. I didn't finish my question yet.
Because before there was no tax.
Let me finish, retard. So if I'm a landlord and you're a tenant, and I'm saying it's January, I'm saying
I'm going to give you the same answer that. I'm going to give you the same
You're
answer.
not gonna. It's that's different questions. So if you give the same answer, you're just gonna look retarded. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You do gotta let me finish.
By the way,
look, think about it logically. It's January. I'm a landlord. You're a tenant. I charge 1,000 from you. Now we have a land value tax. Suddenly, the tenant is willing to pay 1,100. Why would I not then charge them 1,100? Begin with, this is just free $100. I'm gonna take it. Why would I not do that?
Because the tax wasn't there beforehand, increasing the cost.
But it doesn't matter. I still can charge them what I still can charge them 1,100 and get away with it.
Because when you put a tax on all those businesses within the area, you increase the cost of all the businesses in the area, thus making it so that every single business, I'm literally answering your question, and now you're not letting me answer.
You're not.
I'm literally answering your question. I'm literally answering your question.
Well, we want both.
I want to answer the question, and you're not letting me answer it.
Go for it.
You haven't answered a single question.
Feel free. Go ahead.
Well, you put it. Hold on. Stop talking. Stop talking, Sal. Shut up. Stop talking.
Stop.
Nobody asked you to talk. Stop talking. Nobody asked you to talk.
You can turn it on. You gotta let him finish.
Let him finish.
I'm muting South Cat. If you want to hear what I have to say, mute her as well.
You cannot locally mute people. I know. I thought so.
I posted you in the side chat the command board. Just go to that. Use that. Right. It's at the very top of the side chat. But I also
yeah.
So
I want to highlight something very clear. So,
can I answer the question?
Wait.
Let me answer the question. No, you're not. I'm going to answer the question.
Go ahead.
So when you increase the tax at every single business within the area, every single business within the area has to put on that cost. Thus, what you're going to see is that every single business in that area is going to be charging more for the goods and services that are being sold because the cost of running that business is now higher. That also goes for rent. There you go. Go ahead.
Gotcha. Awesome. So again, I'm gonna go through the same. I want everyone in the audience to understand how crystal clear this was not a reply or didn't even as a rational explanation. So I'm a landlord. I'm having a new tenant now. Yes or no? Is this the type of rent that I can charge them $1,100 in January before the land value tax? Will they be willing to pay $1,100? Yes or no?
It depends on the situation. Okay, you're going to this point again, but I'm going to give you the same answer.
You're not.
You're just spinning your wheels, bro. Do you have a different question?
Wait.
You're spinning your wheels at this point.
I can ask the same. No. Look, I
don't want to answer the same question over again.
You're running away. Let me finish.
Yeah, I don't want to answer the same question over again unless you have a different question.
Let me finish.
Do you have a different question? Is this a different question? Is this a different question?
Yes, it is.
Holy fucking yeah.
So you cannot play this game of bitching every time you get interrupted, and then also
it's my room. It's my room. Don't like it, get the fuck out. Don't like it, get the fuck out. Don't like it, get the fuck out.
You should still be consistent in your room. So
yes, it is my room. Don't like it, get the fuck out.
Let's lower the temperature.
It's funny how you impose rules on other people, but you won't adhere to your own fucking rules. Sounds like pretty authoritarian.
Don't like it. Don't like it. Don't like it. Get the fuck out. Don't like it. Get the fuck out.
Do everything he can.
You look like you're losing. You look like a bitch.
Look. Back to the argument.
You gotta let him finish, bro.
So wait, awesome. So I'm a landlord. This is January. I'm seeing a new tenant. I'm asking them, will you pay $900? They say yes. Will you pay $1,000? They say yes. Will you pay $1,100? They say no way, nope, not happening. So I say, okay, I'm going to charge you 1,000. I turn a profit. That's awesome. Now we have a land value tax. I'm like, oh no, I'm losing 100. So sad. Oh, I know what to do. I'm going to go to the tenant and ask them to pay 1,100 now. So I go to the tenant and I say, now you will pay 1,100. But they say no because they said no before. It makes no sense what you're saying. You're telling me that suddenly the tenant is willing to pay more. But no, if they were willing to pay more, they would pay the amount before land value tax. And so I would have already done that. The current price of land reflects the current price, the current rental price. The current rental price of land, reflects already the maximum amount of rent that the tenants are willing to pay.
Okay. So, very simple answer to this question that I've already given to you like 3 times already, which I think is a little bit weird that you keep asking me the same question over and over. So, I'm going to give you the same answer. When you are a business owner,
Who's speaking over them? Who's it? No. I'm serious. I want to hear you, but there's someone speaking over you. It's so annoying.
You gotta let him finish,
what the fuck is this retarded shit? I want to hear him. South,
I've already muted South Cat. I've already muted her. You're gonna have to mute her.
You cannot look for.
Oh, too bad. I don't know what you want me to do, dude.
I've literally linked it to you.
They're just
I don't know how to do this.
You can mute them from the PC. You go
okay,
going to the
not. I definitely didn't mute South. Yeah, I definitely didn't mute South.
Command
I
table
definitely
with every command right there for you. I've linked it for you twice now. You don't have an just fucking kick her or mute her, dude.
That's a good
point. Give me a second.
You gotta let him finish, man.
Shut up.
I'm almost there. Keep finishing.
You're supposed. So if you want to mute someone, I assume you press like the.
Keep going.
Which one is the mute one? It has an image.
I think
just click on their little profile and then slide the.
That only does a local mute. That doesn't do a universal.
You're on PC, right?
Don't stop you, dirty boy.
I don't know what I'm doing here. Like,
left click on the name.
I see a bunch
left click on the name.
One of the buttons.
And there's like this blue line.
And
drag the blue line to the left.
Buttons mean.
Gotta let him
Imagine not
finish.
being tech savvy.
I think she left. Oh no, she's still here.
She's still here, but she's just not quiet. I think somebody muted her already for us.
No, they can't. She just keeps muting herself. So that inevitably.
Okay, so I'm just gonna listen, guys. Respectfully.
How supply demand works.
I don't really have that much time left, so I gotta go to work tomorrow. And I had fun talking to you guys.
Maybe a different argument.
What do you think about
Before you go, I want to say 2 things before you go.
But let me at least answer the question.
What do you think about dog rape?
Okay.
I've answered that. Animals don't have rights.
You didn't answer though. You did.
I do want to answer the question though.
What question?
The one that you just asked you.
You already did.
No, I didn't.
You said the businesses face a higher cost. You said.
Yeah, if the business face a higher cost, they're gonna have to make up that money somehow. So generally, how they do that is by charging more.
Before I said the other, I just want to highlight. Already, I said that if the tenant would be willing to pay 1,100, they would already be willing to pay that much in January. So you would already be able to get them to pay that in January.
Yeah, and if
they're
that
not
happens,
suddenly more willing to pay.
Okay, so you don't want to hear the answer. So if that happens, right, then that landlord is fucked. That landlord is basically.
No, they're not fucked. They just earn less.
They either earn less or they go out of business.
Yeah, that's right. So. And someone else will rent.
Wow, it's like we're protecting like money out of rich people's pockets.
Well, awesome.
So there's 3 things that can happen. They could charge more money for their goods and services. They're basically eat the cost, or they go out of business.
So 2 things. If you're an Ancap, I really recommend you look Friedman. He's not an best Ancap, probably, and Brian Kaplan. You probably heard.
I know them.
They're really good.
I love them.
Yeah,
I love them.
Well, you should probably be more like I was gonna say David Pacman. David Friedman debated Walter Block on. In my opinion, crushed him.
Your mic is
completely.
cutting out. I don't know if that's me.
Oh, it's so sad.
Yeah, you're cutting out, bro.
Well, let me leave and rejoin. Give me 1 sec.
Oh, he cannot finish.
Don't let him finish. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm back. So he debated. David Friedman debated Walter Block like 2-3 years ago about Austin versus Chicago.
I've seen that one.
He crushed him. So that's a good debate.
I don't think
that's
so.
Very
I think I disagree.
But that's okay. But you're wrong, but that's okay.
Oh wait, are you a
The second thing
Chicago
I was gonna
school
say-
economist?
No, I'm a, like, you know, barely. I'm
Keynesian?
almost post-Keynesian. I'm like,
Okay.
I'm very empirical. I'm very empirical. So yeah, I
Yeah, we
sympathize a lot
don't
with
support. We
Chicago. I
don't.
just
We don't fuck
reached-
with that empiricism. All right. We don't
Yeah,
fuck
yeah,
with
yeah.
empiricism.
Yeah, yeah.
Me and my homies don't like
Yeah, that's very
empiricism.
large.
All right. With
I
the
know, I
picture
know, I
of-
know.
and the with the
Holy
gangsters.
voice crack.
I knew you were low IQ. That's okay.
Shut up.
So,
I think
so,
he finished.
So the second thing is, if you want an argument for the nukes
This is why
thing,
you defend dog rape.
Bob Murphy wrote in his book
Animals
Chaos
don't have
Theory,
rights.
Okay, he wrote a defense of private nukes, and if you want the most sophisticated argument to defend it, is the idea that if you have a private market for nukes, companies would realize that it's a very dangerous thing, and so they would charge sufficiently high premiums for people who want to own nukes. It's not like willy-nilly you can buy a nuke for $5. It's going to be very, very costly for rich people to the point where they would not even find it profitable to own a nuke because the premiums are so high.
Could you
If
send me
want the
that?
rebuttal, It's in his,
There's so
it's in
many
his book.
other-
It's in his book Chaos Theory. You can find it
Okay.
online.
Chaos theory. I'll look that up. You know what the thing is? I don't really discuss. I mean, like, yeah, you got me on the nuke thing, but
Yeah,
the
we can
thing
tell,
is,
we can tell, we
I'm
can
not
tell.
like. That's not something I really think about a lot, right? Nukes, right? You know. So
I agree. You don't think too much about how society will look like. I agree.
I said nukes. What the fuck?
For someone who doesn't think about nukes so often,
Nukes are a pretty big thing. You know?
Yep.
for someone who doesn't think about nukes that often, you nuke that argument.
Some would say nukes are
I
like
think
the
I
most
made a
important
pretty
invention.
damn good argument. I don't see anything wrong with any of the arguments that I made.
It doesn't follow.
I just want to expose,
It
by the
follows
way,
very
that
well.
Earlier, I tested his epistemic standards because he was saying he's, quote, not an empiricist. And he just kept saying correlation doesn't equal causation. I gave an example case of, you know, some sort of experts on mechanisms speculating on the mechanism of drinking some mystery fluid, saying this is absolutely safe to drink, and asking him if he saw one individual drink it and they instantly fall dead, is he willing to drink it? His answer is obviously no, but then what he says, but it's different because economics is different than medicine. There's more moving parts and it's more complicated. And then I explained to him that would just favor the outcome data even more, because now you're just saying the mechanisms are even more complicated to the point where now you'd have to even further speculate on the mechanisms and make even more deranged inferences.
Incorrect.
Slow down.
So
Slow down,
basically,
Mr. Slow the fuck down. Holy fuck.
Okay, and
basically
you
this
tried
guy
to,
seen
and
it
you
earlier.
couldn't make it, and you tried to say that scarcity doesn't exist. I mean, I don't know.
No, I didn't. I said, depending on what you mean by that vague question, I may or may not say, depending on what you mean by exists, a yes or no, right?
Yeah, well, obviously scarcity exists, so a scientific study
yeah,
isn't
well,
going
obviously
to.
I'm going to think about how every piece
Alright,
of
I'm gonna
nuance
mute
in our
Big Slurp
conversation.
on my end. So,
Scarcity exists, but it's not applicable in certain contexts. BTFO, get the fuck out. Thank you.
so obviously it does apply into all contexts
Imagine,
because
like,
we live in a
okay,
world
so
of
my
because we live in a
question-
world
my
of
question is,
scarcity.
For the
And because
Ancap
we
guy,
live in,
for the Ancap guy,
I
have
really
you read
don't
it?
want to have to
Have
mute
you
you,
look-
Sample, because I was literally just
I think
speaking.
Ancaps would.
I was literally
I think
just
Ancaps
speaking,
would
and now
benefit
you're
greatly
speaking
if
over
they
me.
ever,
So I guess I'm just gonna keep speaking because you're just speaking
I
over
think
me as I
Ancaps
was
would
speaking.
benefit greatly if they ever read a book about causal inference.
All right, so what I was going to say is that fundamentally, scientific studies, when it comes to economics, are always going to come to completely different conclusions because there are always hundreds of different of things that could affect that study that can't be accounted for in that study. So that's the real issue with a lot of these scientific studies that try to prove something like the minimum wage going up. You know, for instance, like the minimum wage, you can't just be like, hey, there's this scientific study that proves that the minimum wage doesn't affect unemployment. But the issue with that is that with those studies that there's hundreds of things that could be negatively affecting that study or positively affecting those businesses that could account for why the what you call it, the unemployment rate did not go up because of that. So yeah, I'm bringing back up your volume. Simple
For
text.
one, again, no one think you muted me.
Yeah, I muted you because you were speaking when I was speaking.
Okay, gotcha. So I want to reply to that in two ways. For one, no one thinks it's proof, like i.e. demonstration beyond a shadow of a doubt, you cannot cast any doubt. No one ever said that. It's evidence. Evidence is just data that raises the probability of a hypothesis, which by definition it does. Second thing, a lot of these concerns are already addressed by the a lot of these, I don't know why you're bitching about interrupting and then interrupt, but so a lot of these concerns are already addressed in the methodology of these papers. This is not, you're not the first person to think about this, shocking enough. Anyone can open a causal inference book. There's a good one I can recommend to everyone, and read about how the methodologies address concerns like, oh, well, that might have happened regardless. Oh, well, maybe the cities have these difference in them. Like, you can already answer these with robust causal methodologies. Even if you disagree with them, you should learn about them and read a study to the fullest without just like repeating dog shit things you've seen from a YouTube video. That's my take.
Yeah, so fundamentally, any study that you show that could be like, hey, look, the increase of the unemployment, there was no increase of the unemployment rate, I could just easily be like, hey, well, who's to say that the unemployment rate would have been even lower had we not had the minimum wage there in the first place? And the reason why, so, yeah. And you can't really study from that.
And as I already said, it's not proof, it's evidence. Yeah.
And that's the only thing. Yeah, but again,
it's not proof.
When you say...
No, it's not
when
evidence
you say
neither.
Who's to say, are you just implying that youth are agnostic, even given some sort of robust data that controls for a multitude of confounders?
No, what I'm doing is I'm basing my assumptions on the fact that we live in a world of scarcity, and that fact,
okay, so
based on that fact, we can deduce that whenever you put a cost onto a business, they have to make up for that cost, and how they make up for that cost is either raising the prices of the goods and services, or by firing people, which then leads to unemployment.
Yeah.
Higher rates of
Wait,
unemployment.
so to be clear,
one last question from one of you guys, and then I gotta go because I gotta go to work tomorrow.
KingSithis, why you defend dog rape?
I want you to understand
Animals
this
don't
very
have rights.
carefully. Very clearly. I want you to understand
It
this
doesn't
very
make dog
carefully.
rape okay.
Like, look. I want you to understand this
Animals
very
don't
carefully.
have rights.
It is always true that there could be some other confounders that explain the data, but the claim is not that the study proves that it's beyond a shadow of a doubt predictically. That's not the claim. People claim that studies are evidence, that they raise the probability of something. So even though it could possibly be false, the likelihood is greater than before the study. That's what people claim. You're not addressing it by saying, well, it could be false. Any probabilistic claim could be false, but it's more likely.
All right, so my response to that is, you know what I have proof of? I have proof that scarcity does exist, and based on that we can make deductions on what is real and what is true in the real world. And because I have proof that scarcity exists, we could make generalizations based. We can make predictions on how that affects people in the real world.
Before you go, you said animals don't have rights. So in your Ancap society, wait. In your Ancap society, can someone rape a dog? Wait, can someone rape a dog in your Ancap society? Is that a thing that they can do?
Are they the owner?
No, sir, it's a stray dog.
Oh, well, I mean, the reason why I say that is so long as they are the owner, I don't care if they're not the owner. So you don't have the right to rape another person's dog. So, yeah, I don't care about animals. I don't think animals. Oh wait! You guys are vegans, right?
No.
So you guys don't support.
I love my meat. If anything,
so it's okay to kill a dog. It's okay to kill a dog. It's okay to eat a dog. It's okay to torture a dog.
It's not okay to kill a dog. Okay.
Oh, you're a vegan. Hey, at least, if vegans are at least consistent, I'll give it that vegans are at least consistent on that point. But these other guys are not consistent at all. You will admit to me that these guys are not consistent. You may be consistent, but these guys are not consistent. You may be consistent, but these guys are not.
I agree with you. I find it more intellectually respectable. I find it more intellectually respectable to admit that if we kill and slit the throats of dogs, we might as well rape them. I think that's more intellectually consistent. I respect that more than people telling me straight in the face that raping is magically worse, but like cooking a dog, raping its body, or like raping it for milk like cows, and then slitting its throat is somehow moral. Like no, both of these are immoral, to be clear, but you're more absurd but more coherent.
No, I respect that. No, listen to me. You are consistent. These guys will say, "Oh, it's wrong to eat a dog, but oh, it's wrong to rape a dog, but I will eat a dog. I will torture a dog. I'll do this to a dog." But they have rights. That does not make sense. That is completely inconsistent. Am I right or am I right?
Yep, you're right.
All right, thank you. At least you're consistent. These guys, they're not consistent. These other
I
guys,
would rather be raped than murdered. Like I would rather be raped than murdered, right? So why is it okay to murder dogs but not rape them? Like,
Exactly.
Exactly.
Wait, who said it was okay to murder dogs? That's a crime.
Well,
so long as you are the owner of the dog, you wouldn't have the right to rape somebody else's dog, because then you would be violating that person's property rights.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying for the non-vegans, you think it's okay to eat dogs, so you think it's okay to murder them, right? You murder them for food. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Y'all live in fucking. Where do you guys fucking live?
In Capistan.
Capistan, yeah.
All right, y'all. I had fun. Dude, I know that we got heated, but I don't hate you guys. I don't have any problem with you guys. You guys are all right.
No, you should read more.
Listen, I've read some.
I really hope that you keep this video up in your YouTube channel,
it's
especially
gonna
the
be
part
there.
where I embarrass you on your epistemic standards.
I don't think so at all, bro. You try to make. Look, actually, I recommend you watch my minimum wage video. Maybe you'll turn around my video on the minimum wage.
Wait. Can you link your channel? Wait, brother, you're retweeting. Look, KingSithis, nothing against you, but you're retweeting fucking end wokeness, bro. What are you doing?
Don't look at my Twitter. I don't really use that. I don't use that. Look at my TikTok or my YouTube. Here's my channel.
Let me check it out.
So
I would love to see my debate there. That's awesome.
Yeah, you guys can watch it there. So I'll see you guys later. It'll be in the live section. Any last words from you guys, or?
I'm good.
Your YouTube to your Discord profile.
I love tax.
W anti-tariff. No. W free trade. W free trade.
W free trade. W free trade.
W free market.
Wait. KingSithis, before you go.
Yes.
Immigration should also be free. Like open border is also good, right?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, we're 100.
Any
person any libertarian.
You never know from a right-wing libertarian. You never know.
Any libertarian that says they don't support open borders is wrong. Incorrect.
I don't.
Dave Smith is wrong.
Okay, that's great.
Anyone that wants to debate me on that, let me know, and I got you. Hit me up.
That's right. Okay, see ya.
They're wrong. Have a good night, guys.
At least.
All right, guys. It was really fun having that conversation. I'll see you guys all later.